Welcome back to the next episode of the Life Lid podcast. I'm very lucky to get the opportunity to sit down today and have a chat with a friend of mine who's got an incredible life story. From growing up in abject poverty in Kenya, he's traveled all the way over to Australia, been through university, he's now a father, he's a published author. Please welcome my friend, Fred Ogoti. Oh, Fred, welcome.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah. How do you like the place?
Sweet.
It's pretty good.
It's good. Good
Pretty
spot, man. Eh?
Yeah, I put a bit of time.
Looks a
and
bit
effort into it.
professional, eh?
Yeah.
That's different coming from you, you know? I'm just saying.
What are you trying to say?
Nah.
Why are you going to put me down like that straight
I'm
off the
throwing
bat?
shade, man. Nah, you're good. Nah, it looks pretty good. I like it.
Yeah, man, it's not bad. I put a bit of effort into this to try and make it, look and sound nice and good for the people at home that might want to listen in.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
So tell me, Fred, you are obviously not first generation Australian. Where did you come from?
I guess it depends on who you talk to, you know?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Are we
'Cause
going to
when
go?
I well, I lived up in Townsville, so when I was up in Townsville, I was still first generation there, you know?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
look alike, so
Yeah.
Nah. So I do say it depends on who you actually ask. So
It took me a second to cotton on where you were going with that.
I knew
That's
it.
great. I was like, hold on, what's he on about?
that's a good start.
Oh,
No.
that's great.
So as you know, Fred came from Kenya. So I'm actually an immigrant from Kenya. I've lived here about 14 years.
Yeah, right.
Kind of lose thought sometimes because it's been that long, eh?
Yeah.
But I came as a student. I came to study and initially just came to study and go back home. But then Australia was good to me, so I decided to stay and never looked back again, eh?
Yeah. What was it like growing up down in Kenya? Like, is it a big country within Africa?
No, I don't know how to say it. It's an average country. I don't know. I can't really can't really answer that because then Africa is too big. But you see, the thing is, I've never been out of Africa, so like out of Kenya, there's different countries. So it depends on who you actually ask. It's hard to. So I'll just say it's just normal country. I guess it's just the same as Australia. It just depends on where you've gone.
Yeah,
it's a bit touristy.
Oh, really?
Mombasa, That's why we got all the Savo, we got all the animals and stuff. So we do get in the seasons, migration, part of the wildebeest migration goes through there. So it's a bit, touristy, but it's not that. It's just the same. If you've been to Bali or you've been to Thailand, it's kind of the same country, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's kind of tropical.
It's very tropical. It's not very hot. So we get like average temperature throughout the year. So it's about average, say 24.
What, really?
Yeah.
In Africa?
Yeah, because the equator passes through Kenya. So So that's the difference when you actually talk to people outside, because they think Africa, and they think Africa is just one country.
Yeah. I knew there was a bunch of little countries.
Yeah,
but
there's different countries, and then it also depends on what part, because you have South Africa. South Africa's temperatures like here. They got seasons. They got winter, summer, and then as you go north, it's a bit hotter as well. So But then if you're in Central Africa, that's different. If you have the equator, so that means we get the sun just come straight through,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're, is it science or geography or something?
Yeah, that'd be definitely
something like that.
Science, yeah.
Yeah, so science. If the equator passes through, so we don't have seasons, we just get like hot and wet, and it's not that dry as well. So but it's weird because then at 19 degrees, you see people walking around with sweaters and stuff because that's cold for them. But here 19 degrees is sort of like summer.
Yeah, right.
So,
That kind of reminds me of Darwin. Darwin's very much like that.
I've been to Darwin.
Yeah, it'd be similar to Townsville. I think I think it's a little bit hotter than Townsville. Yeah, people from Townsville probably have a whinge and say that it's not, but I think it is.
I lived in Townsville. I like that temperature.
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
but there's no winter. It's like what we would have winter. You just got wet and dry season. Just hot and wet, or it's hot and dry.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So no, it was a bit different growing up there. So growing up, you just saw like I don't know if I can say it. We call Mzungu is white people,
Okay, yeah.
So we didn't have many white people.
You can say whatever you want.
Yeah.
I
don't want to sound racist.
I'm not going to get offended.
All right. So, like growing up, it's like white people is sort of something we saw just on the TVs and stuff, So growing up, life was very different, We didn't mind life there. Like life was, people would think it was hard, but it wasn't hard because we lived there. You know what I mean? It's sort of like the thing is, if you don't know anything and that's all you know, that's as good as it is. And then you find something else and then you're like, you start comparing on Was it better? Was it worse? If you ask me now, I think growing up was very different. I think it was a bit difficult. It was a bit, because I've lived here and I've seen the difference. So if you ask me that question, I don't know. I can answer that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was a bit different. Life wasn't the easiest life, we walked to school, just the normal stuff you see on TV. Some stuff a bit exaggerated, but just the normal stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the best, but wasn't the worst as well.
Yeah. How far do you got to walk to school?
I want to say like 30 kilometers, but that's a lie.
You've been walking for fucking days.
Nah. Nah, so it depends. So I grew up in the village. So my early life was in the village, and that's different. So we did walk to school. It was a fair bit of distance every morning, and at lunchtime you still had to go back home and then go back to school. Being taught was also different because we were taught in we say mother tongue, we're taught in a traditional language, and then it was translated to English.
Yeah.
So the teaching was kind of different. English wasn't it's your second language, so you have Swahili as your national language. English is official language, but everyone converses in Swahili. English is just a language that you just get by, it's just a professional language because you were colonized by the British. So growing up wasn't the easiest, So even watching on TV, I want to say we watched with subtitles, but I just didn't even understand the subtitles.
Couldn't read English.
You know what
Oh, that's
man, we're
good.
on a roll. I'm gonna take him.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So now it was a bit different. So we did. I think it's just what you see on TV, man. Yeah. I don't know. I can answer that.
Yeah, well, it's like I've only got experience here, obviously, and I've never been to Africa, so I've got no idea. Like I remember you telling me a while ago, I didn't realize that there was like within the different countries in Africa, there was like racism, like Africans hating Africans, and I was like, what?
Yep.
That blew my mind. Like racism, I think is dumb in all levels.
In all levels, yeah.
But I was like,
if
everyone's African, then how?
It's not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I'll explain it in racism in that's the only way we could understand. But then we have tribalism, which is kind of similar thing where you hate your. So like Kenya has 42 different community tribes, and then we have like 4 major communities. So you have different communities, and then under one community you have different tribes under that. So like me and my wife come from the same community, but we in different tribes.
Ooh.
So when she speaks her traditional language and I speak my traditional language, it'll sound the same to you, but it's very different.
Is it like different words or just kind of like a different accent?
You might use the same words, different accent, and means something totally different. Yeah. So the way I'll call a river, I'll probably say Roche.
Yeah.
She'll say Roe. But when you're talking fast, it sounds very different. So I might pick up 1 or 2 words when she's talking.
Yeah.
But we won't understand each other.
So you guys speak in Swahili at home?
Swahili, yeah. So Swahili, so like that's like the national language where everyone converses. So because you come from different communities, different traditions, and all that, so when you move to the city, mostly like most universities or education, like proper education, you have to go to the city and stuff. That is where a lot of people converse, because then you have to talk to someone from a different tribe. You know what I mean? Because all this changed once we got colonized. If you went back days, we just lived within our communities. So that's all you knew. We married people from the same community, and that's how it was. But then as colonization came, and everyone got exposed, we got exposed to other people, and then that sort of Swahili came from that, where they had to create a language where everyone could communicate, which was part of the trade as well. Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah, a bit of education there.
Yeah. So when you when you got together with your now wife, was that like a controversial thing, being from a different like a different community, different tribe? Or was it like they didn't really care?
They did and did not at the same time. Well, look at it like this. Me and my wife met here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was a bit different. If we met back home, that was different. See, now it's changed over the years because a lot of communities have become more westernized. So people can marry from different communities or different tribes. but it's very complicated in that tradition and culture is something that's very big in a community, in different communities and stuff. But as the younger generations have grown, they've not grown in the culture, they've not grown in the community, they've not grown with traditions, so they've lost that. So now it's easier to marry from different community because you don't have a tradition, you don't have a culture to give or to to continue to, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
To keep up with.
To keep up with. So like I'm from the Kisi tradition. Kisi tradition, having a name is a very big thing. So if you're given a name, you're given a name from someone who's died.
Oh, is it so like at birth?
Yeah, like a birth.
Okay.
When it's like a birth name. So
yeah.
So I have like Ogoti, which is my grandfather's name. So my grandfather was someone very respectful in the community. So it's upon me to continue that name.
Yeah.
So I strive to continue that name so that if I have sons, they will have the Ogoti name. So they continue that. So if we go back home, right now, maybe my family would say we have a son who's in Australia. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a tradition, you know what I mean? So it gives the family name a very big stature. But when you marry from different communities, that gets lost because when you have kids, the kids don't have tradition because now you have to teach them two different traditions.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed something, especially in Australia, is traditions do not always mix.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's always a clash. And that's one of the reasons why we never used to have that. But now that it's more and more, and you will see culture is something that's being lost and you cannot undo that because you don't have kids who are, it's hard to say like pure breeds because you have kids from different,
I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, Fred the racist.
I didn't say that. I didn't say. Also, sometimes people think that because one of the jokes I told you, told a few times is people think I'm black, and I always say, even at work, I'm like, I'm not black, I'm actually white. They're like, well, what do you mean? I was like, this is just African dust. I consider myself white because this is African dust. And I tell you what, the reason this is not a racist joke. It's just a joke. But when I came here, the first time I landed in Australia, me and this couch, we were one. Like I would camouflage in this couch and you would not even see me. So I went back home after 4 years of being here. And when I went back home, they're like, yo, you're a bit light, aren't you?
I said, it's so good.
Yeah, it's just because I've been showering, I've been having a shower and I haven't finished showering yet. So
I moved to somewhere with running water. What do you want from me?
What do you want from me, man? I'm trying. I keep scrubbing myself every day. Just give me a couple of years and next time you see me,
Dove soap.
I'll just be kind of like, "G'day, mate," and like, who's that? That's a good one.
Oh, that's funny.
I love that, man. I love that because it does give the people a bit of a chuckle. Yeah.
I think that it's a very important quality to be able to make fun of yourself and have a laugh and not take things too seriously. I feel like in today's society, everyone takes everything way too seriously. Like, just relax, mate.
100%.
You've got enough shit in life to worry about.
Yeah.
You don't need to freak out about people just making jokes and having a laugh and just trying to have some fun.
That's true. It's funny you saying that because I think there was in one of your podcasts you had can't remember his name, but he's a comedian.
Mikey Joaquin.
I was listening to that and I said it must be hard to be a comedian at this time because especially in this generation because you cannot have a joke.
No, I don't know. I reckon this is probably one of the best times.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why do you think?
Because I think we're coming to the tail end of this like really crazy level of wokeness and like no fun with anything. I think we're coming to the point where like the majority of people who really don't give a shit about most of it, they're just like live your life, dude. I don't care. I think they finally get to a point where they're kind of fed up and they're just like, just shut up. Just stop complaining about shit and let us just live life and have fun.
But isn't that like forced humor then?
Yeah, well, that's why it gets funnier.
No, it's not.
Because, there's so many lines now. Well, that's the beautiful thing about comedy is walking that line and finding the edge. You know, being edgy with something and just pushing it up and seeing how far you can push the envelope while still having a bit of fun.
I look at it like this, right? Look at comedy, few years back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say 5 years back.
Yeah.
No, five. No, I said let's say 10.
That was loud.
10 years back. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And comedy was sort of like, you could dress up as I'd wear a skirt, go out in the street, dance. People find that funny. You know what I mean? But it wasn't forced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just genuine where, I'm just doing that and just have a good day. Walk around, you're like, oh, he's a bit of an idiot.
Yeah.
A bit of a chuckle and,
Yeah.
And life was all right. But if you do that right now, it's like a reversed edge sword.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know where you're coming from. You say we're coming towards that end, but the damage has already been done.
But
because then you sort of have people who will walk around who get offended. You know what I mean? Some people will find that funny. Some people will just go on a tangent where they have no idea what's happening and whatnot, and they don't even know what's going on.
Yeah.
But they'll have an opinion. You know what I mean? And then you have the woke generation who just go, cancel him. He's making fun of women.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So now the difference is if you have all these different views and then you put them there, then it's sort of like you're forcing. You're not putting comedy out there like in a way where it's just for all. It's sort of like, as you say, treading the line. So you're looking for. Are you looking for people to, you know what I mean? Like you're looking for like a group, a certain group. You have to go with a certain group. Comedy never used to be that. Comedy used to be just like, you just throw some lines out and.
I think you're wrong there. I think that's always been like, because there's like, we both love comedy. We can appreciate
100%,
it.
Yeah.
But we're not going to like all of the same comedians, unless we've got a similar sense of humor, because comedy is so subjective. So, you might love Jimmy Carr. I just don't think he's funny.
Yeah.
I might not get offended by his stuff, but it's just not my brand.
See, that's the difference.
And that's his same thing though. But
see, the difference of what you said is you might not necessarily get offended with his stuff. He's a comedian. It's not your liking. It's not your cup of tea. Good.
Yeah.
I'll move on. I love, what's his name? Trevor Noah. So he's funny. I find him funny. But there's people who don't find that as, new age comedy and stuff. And you move on. But then the problem comes in when the opinions come in. See what I mean?
Well, I think people have lost sight of the fact that the only person who can offend you is you.
Yeah, that's true.
Like literally anything you say to somebody, the only time that they get offended by it is if there's even a hair of an amount in there, a grain of rice of truth in that they feel about themselves. Yeah. If they feel bad about something and you strike that one little nerve, they're going to get offended. Yeah. Whereas like, if it's something completely unrelated, they just like they don't care. It doesn't affect because they don't believe that at all.
Yeah, that's true.
So like really, you're offending yourself. Yeah. Like just don't take yourself so seriously and relax.
But now the question would be do you think we have more comedians now than we used to, or did we have more comedians back in the days than we have now? And why is that?
I don't think we've got more. Oh, I don't know actually. I don't know. I'm in two minds. I think we potentially have more because it's become more mainstream and people are seeing it as more of an option. They're like, oh, actually, I can do that. Yeah. Because it's because of the prevalence of social media and the internet and everything else and the ability to get your, stand-up comedy out there. Yeah. It's more viewable so people can see it as more of an option. But then at the same time, I wonder whether it's the same amount of comedians, but due to all the additives of all those things, we're now seeing so much more of it. Do you know what I mean?
See, I feel like we're seeing less comedians coming out. That's what I want to say I spend a lot of time in social media, not as much because I don't want my business to hear this. But the little time I do spend on social media.
Yeah, you're definitely looking at comedians. You're not looking at big booty bitches on the beach in bikinis.
That would never happen. That would never happen. No.
Guys, we just ended Fred's marriage. We're 12 minutes in and Fred's done. He's getting a divorce.
I'm going. I'm leaving. Can't handle this. Too much heat. No. So the little time I do spend, there was a time where it went through the whole idea of wokeness where everyone was getting cancelled for whatever reason, and because of that, I do think what we call comedy has changed. We get people doing pranks, finding that funny, which is not.
Pranks aren't funny.
You don't like pranks? I don't think that's funny because.
But that's your brand. See, it's subjective. Because
is it subjective?
I like to prank people, and I think pranks are pretty funny sometimes. Some are shit, but there's some good pranks.
See, there's a difference between I look at it like this. I think there's a difference between authentic comedy and comedy for views.
Yeah.
See what I mean? If you're walking around doing a prank, what you're recording is you're only recording the parts that are funny, and that's the views you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
So you're trading on that line where it's no longer funny, because if you had a chance to actually look at it like the whole, say, from when you started shooting to when you finished, would you now go like, that's funny? I'll give you an example. There's someone who was a big TikTok fan or something, where he would go and there was a homeless guy, try give him some food, or he'll go in and buy a bag and come sit next to it, and you're thinking, oh, he's doing something good here, and he's trying to give the guy, and then he sits there, opens the bag and starts eating it in front of the homeless person.
Yes, but see, that again, that's not the same sort of prank as like when I think prank, I think of that show Impractical Jokers, the American one.
Yeah,
like they're pranking each other, like they're all, you know what I mean?
Funny.
And that's prank humor. It's the same thing. It's just it's the different execution of it.
Yeah,
and it's very subjective. Like I would agree that like he's just being a dick.
Yeah,
like,
but you see, like people find that funny. That's where I come in. I'm like, if you actually go in, you're like, that's not funny. Yeah,
but that's your other people though are going to find that funny, and that's that individual's brand of humor. That's what they're putting out.
But where's the line then? Where do you draw the line?
I don't think anything's off limit with comedy. I think comedy. There's time and place for things, but I don't think anything should be off limits. I think you should be able to make fun of everything.
Yeah.
So the second we stop making fun of things, we're just getting way too serious, and that's where you stop being able to actually talk about things.
I guess it's where you say subjective. So subjective could be anything. And I was having a conversation with someone about ethics. You know, do we have to live in ethics? Do we have to be ethical? Are we bound by ethics? Do we have to live in an ethical way? An example is, say, when I started work or something, I never used to curse. You know, like a few years back before I joined work and stuff, I never used to curse. Or before I started being around a lot of proper Australians, that was never something that would come out of my mouth. But as I got into it,
you learn how fun swearing is.
You learn how fast it can come out. You know what I mean?
It does, yeah.
But then I would sit down and ask myself in a way where I would be like, at work, I can be this, but then it clashes with when I'm outside work. So me being in two places, am I bound by ethics when I'm at work? Am I being an ethical person? Like, you know, like there are words we actually use as Australians where if you look at it, you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Do you actually know what that means? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you sit down and you ask yourself, I'm like, all right. And especially when I got kids, I struggled with that for a very long time. You know what I mean? But then when you go to work, you're like, ooh, there's no one looking around. I'm like, yeah, it just flows out. And it's easy. And then you come out and then you start questioning yourself. You're like, so that's when we had this conversation about ethics. Because he was talking about, there was this politicians, I'm not going on a tangent, but there was this politician who did something and he felt very bad about it. And he said the only way this politician would learn something is if someone would actually go and harm his family.
Ooh. Yeah, that's a bit...
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
But ask him, why would you think that? Like his family has got nothing to do with that. But he said, if you did that, and he's not saying like kill him or anything, but you know, maybe kidnap the kids or something and live around. And then the politician would be pushed to the wall where they would actually realize, you know what? We're actually working for the people.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
But that's don't kidnap kids.
Don't kidnap kids. No.
Don't kidnap kids.
He probably think in Africa we just go kidnapping kids everywhere. I'm not talking about, but you get what I mean. And I struggled with that because I couldn't see that. But you see, when you talk about subjective, in his mind, he's how can I put it? He can see what he's doing, and he's I don't know the word, man. English is such a hard. I mean, like, can't pick my words now. But I'm just saying, like, in his mind, he was justified with what he's seeing.
Yeah.
Because what he's thinking is, you don't have to harm them, but if he lost his family for a bit and then he's pushed to the wall, he can actually do You know what I mean? You get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, you're trying to give him a change of perspective.
Exactly.
To a degree.
You're trying to push him for the wall to actually do what they have to do. So now is the subjectiveness coming into that? Would you say that's subjective? Because he's justified. He sees what he sees like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. I think, I think there's subjective elements, but also objective elements. You know what I mean? Like subjectively, I can see what he's saying, and I agree that that would probably make a point. But objectively, don't kidnap kids. You know what I mean? So I think your subjectivity needs to align with the objectivity as well. Yeah. If there's a way, like he's obviously not going to kidnap kids. He's just using that as a metaphorical or an analogy of how we could demonstrate a change. But if you could actually
think something like that, don't you feel like ethics is something, we growing up in school, we were taught ethics. Ethics was something we're bound by. You know what I mean? You treat someone the way you'd like to be treated and all that. But see, I think the world has changed a bit.
I don't think the world. Do you say the world or the word?
The world.
Oh, the world. Yeah. Well, definitely. But you look at like ethics again is to a degree subjective. I mean, I think there's things that we all can be like, that's the ethically correct thing to do, or that's not. Yeah. But like you look at people who grow up in perhaps like a really low socioeconomic area where everyone around them steals things because it's necessity or whatever. If they grow up in that behavior is just okay. Like that to them, there's no ethical qualm there. They're like, like I want, therefore I take. Yeah. Whereas you and I might have grown up somewhere, where we're not in that situation. You can go, well, no, you don't take shit. It's not yours. You know what I mean? So there is the objective, ethical, right? Obviously, you don't take things that don't belong to you. Yeah. People have worked very hard for their stuff. Don't steal it. But given where that person's grown up, to them, the subjective level of ethics,
outcomes justifies the means of what they're doing.
Yeah, and it's because of the environment that they've been brought up in. Yeah, so I think there's definitely two levels to it.
Yeah, life is hard, man.
Dude, life is hard. That's why we're here, being fucking life.
I know life is hard. Yeah. I talk to my missus sometimes and I say raising kids in this generation now is very hard because stuff like that we talk about. It's just hard to know what to teach them and what not to teach them. Yeah. Are you doing too much? Are you doing too little? Yeah. Are you doing the right thing? Are you doing the wrong thing? Because of things like what we just talked about. Yeah. The subjectiveness of everything that you have to teach, the ethics, all that. I think it's very hard.
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously not a parent and I've got little nieces and nephews, I have some small role in the way that they turn out. I'm obviously not their parents, so I don't have that big a role, but as another sort of male role model, I do to a degree. And I wonder, like, maybe you need to find that balance where they need to discover these things and learn for themselves. You know what I mean? Like someone telling you information is one thing, but you actually learning that information on your own, it kind of sinks in a lot better. So perhaps you need to be in a position where you can create scenarios where they can learn on their own and you're there sort of like the bumpers on a bowling alley to just make sure that they don't go too far and hit in the gutter and just kind of guide them towards that. Yeah. There you go, bud. You made the right decision. Good on it. Oh, you didn't. And you fell over and, Yeah. So what happened? What was the consequence? So what did we learn from that? What did you,
Yeah. Little things like that. But then there's also the other part where the environment that they go into. Yeah. You teach them all this and then they go out and the environment's completely different, So yeah, it's just a thought I was thinking about.
Dude, it's a
struggle with stuff, man.
It is. It's a crazy time. 2024 is a crazy time to be alive, and I do not envy you having to try and raise children in this.
I tell you, I'll give you a story. Now that you say that, I just remember another story. Right?
Story time with Fred.
Story time. So I was talking to this one of the teachers that we know that lives around where we live, and she had a student that came and was acting like a helicopter. Would you believe that?
What do you mean?
Like came in. It's not funny, man. It's
really funny.
Is
the kid all there or what?
I have no idea, man. But apparently, the parents do support for the kids.
Yeah, see that's helicopter. Yeah. So that's where I'm like, no, stop. Like, No, I think my sister did a similar thing. If she listens to this, she's going to hate that I'm telling this, and I'm not going to tell which sister it is. But she, for years, wanted to be a dog when we were little, and she would like crawl around the house on all fours, and she'd bark at the dog. I remember the dog got pissed off with her and bit her once.
No way.
And she had seen one of the Disney, it was a Disney movie with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Yeah.
And he got bitten by the dog, the husky, and the dog trainer's like, you got to show him in kind. Yeah. So he bit the dog back.
Yeah.
You want to fucking guess what my sister did when that dog bit her?
Ren?
She fucking grabbed it and bit it back.
Yeah, that's not funny.
Yeah, it's
RSPCV on me in a case.
Yeah. But like she ended up growing out of that, and my parents, I think there's a level of like it's okay and it's a bit of fun and we're playing and you can let them do that. But then there's definitely times you can be like, wait, cut it out. Like we're at home. You want to mess around and pretend to be the dog. Like whatever. You're 6. Have fun. I'm not fussed, but we're keeping it to playtime. This is not. You are not a dog. You will never be a dog. You cannot. Stop. You need to sit up at the table, eat your food. I'm not putting it in a bowl on the floor. Like, you know what I mean? I think there's definitely a level where.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Because my daughter went through. I've got a almost 5-year-old girl. So she went through a process where a stint where she was listening to Bluey a lot.
Yeah.
But then she'd run around the house.
Yeah.
The first thing that came to my mind was that parent and carrying carrying his daughter or his son or his, you know what I mean? Like you can be a helicopter.
Yeah.
And I'm looking there, seeing my daughter run around as Bluey. I'm like, no, we don't do that here, all right? We don't do that here. So I've made it a point to tell my kids that in our house, in the 4 corners of our house, is Kenya.
Yeah.
It's true, man.
No, this is great.
Is Kenya.
Yeah.
Outside is Australia.
Yeah.
Right? So we do as Kenya, right? We don't have that stuff in Kenya, right? So, nah, we don't do that. So I was just, where is it? It's Kenya. Yeah, so we do that. Well, it's just fun. Like sometimes, you try to make fun of it, but it is very scary. I think it's a very scary time because they say you go out in that environment, you try to teach them all these values, and then they go out, and then they've got to learn by themselves. But what are they actually learning? You know what I mean? I think in our profession, we get to see a lot of people, and you wonder, you're like, how did you get to this?
Yeah.
How could you have stopped this before it got to this?
Yeah. Oh, I think it definitely starts at the childhood.
It does.
Stage of life.
100%. It does start with the childhood of life. So
because you're a product of your environment.
Yeah, that's true.
They reckon was it like the 5 closest people around you that you spend all your time with? You're an amalgamation of those 5 people.
Yeah. Birds of a feather. Birds of a feather.
Yeah, birds of a feather. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
That's 100%. Yeah. Growing up, I did have those kind of people, and looking back, sometimes I'm like, maybe they're the ones who made me who I am.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You were in the army. You had a few.
Yeah. I still got a lot of the army mates.
That's it.
Some who've been on here. They're good.
They're good, mates.
They're good. They're sometimes not the best influence.
That's subjective, though. Like,
very subjective. Very subjective.
I think everything nowadays is subjective because I've got a friend. His name is Max, and he's one of the strong-minded people that you can ever meet. If you didn't know him, you would think he's got a very big ego. Nice guy. But very strong-minded. And I look at him sometimes like maybe too much influence.
Yeah.
So
it's just he's pumping up your tires too much.
Yeah, too much, man.
Building Fred's ego out.
So anyway,
so take me when you met your wife. You say you met her in Australia. How'd you meet her here in Australia?
So I came to study. So I was in Griffith. I came to uni, and I was doing IT at the time. When I came, I think the first thing my parents or my guardian parents told me is, I've got to come and study and all that. Stay away from drinks, women, all that stuff. You had to be focused.
Yeah, and you got off the plane and went straight to the bar.
They had actually sold that part. They sold the farm, part, and we only left where the pipe, the tap was left.
Yeah,
and just the house and the tap.
Yeah,
all the farmland was gone.
Yeah,
so I had to study and get that farmland back. You know what I mean? So It's just a joke.
Oh,
don't take
fuck.
it too serious. All right? Anyway, so I did come and study was one of the things. I came and did IT.
Yeah.
I had a 3-year degree, but I did that really quick. And my wife, Grace, at the time, met her in uni, didn't like me. Do I come out as a bad boy or something?
No, I don't think so. But
You would. You spend a bit of time with me.
yeah, I don't think you're a bad boy.
I'm such a lovable guy.
Yeah, you're a nice guy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell her that. You know?
Yeah.
Up to this day sometimes.
Grace. You're very lucky. Okay. Stop whinging.
There you go,
Do
Grace.
more dishes. Let Fred live the dream.
Thank you. Might not leave. I don't think I'll go home tonight.
I wouldn't. I'd book into it. You can stay here. You can stay here on the couches.
Nah, anyway. Yeah, so we did meet. Didn't like me at first, but I had my charm on. I think I just,
Yeah. A little bit of Lynx Africa.
Yeah, nah, brute.
Brute.
Yeah, brute. Went the old brute way, and yeah, just you got that brute aroma. Walk by,
Yeah.
Believe what love at first sight, or should I walk by one more time? And just couldn't resist. So we did meet here. Yeah, we were from different communities and everything. But somehow we just became friends, and one thing led to another. And yeah, I've got actually a funny story. Now that you say that, me and her were supposed to graduate on the same day. Yeah. And I decided to propose. So I went and got a ring, Michael Hill.
Mm.
There people say,
Yeah.
You know the one? You don't. Nah, you don't. You're like you
just
you don't have that vision that comes like, you know what I mean?
You've just popped the bubble for so many people, isn't it?
And it's true. Nah, I've got to explain it. Like,
Okay.
It's you wait for that big moment of clarity or anything. I don't think it actually. You make that moment. I think you make that moment. Because I was walking to Michael Hill, and I was like, let's go have a look at rings. No intention whatsoever. Like we'd been dating for a while, and so I got there. I saw the ring. I was like, "Ooh, that's a nice ring." And this is how they get you. So they're like, you can take it, buy now, pay later.
Yeah.
So I didn't know my credit score at the time. So I just tried. I was like, yeah. I checked my credit. I'm like, yeah. So they said, it's been approved. I'm like, ooh, it's been approved. All right, I'll take it. Anyway, after that, we went, and we were supposed to graduate on the same day, and I was intending to propose on the same day. But there was a challenge. One of the challenges was we come from different communities, and his family is very traditional. Mm. And I talked to the dad at the time, and they weren't ready, So I tried to do it the traditional way because I grew up very traditionally. So I talked to the dad, didn't work out. Dad said, I think it's too early at the moment because they hadn't seen their daughter since she came to Australia. Like she just finished high school, came straight here. And one thing you find out is when you come here from Africa, it's not very close. It's very expensive. So you can't fly back and forth every time. So she'd stayed a couple of years before she'd gone back. So he said, at least she's just finished school. Just wait till, and all that. And that didn't happen. So I stayed with the ring for a whole year before I could propose. So he just in the room there, and every time she'd walk by, and I was just move it. I just keep moving it.
Yeah.
I just keep moving it. At one time, I was like, maybe I need to just sell it. Like, sell it and buy a car. Because I don't know if it's going to. And now Max came into the picture. So I met Max, a very good friend, and he encouraged me. And he just bumped it to my head, like, just do it, man. Just go and do it. What they do, just go and do it. So I tell you what, one day, after talking to my missus, she was in Sunshine Coast at the time. I just talked to her around 9:30. I was like, I think I'm just going to do it. I was in Breezy. Yeah. She was in Sunshine Coast. Got in the car, and I was driving responsibly. It's recorded. So I was driving responsibly. So yeah, I got there in record time, and I was outside the door, and I rang and said, "Just come out." She comes out, and I was on one knee. It was dark. I didn't even know what I was saying, man. So she said yes, and after that, then we told the parents, and we got married. But now there was a trick to it. So we actually had to have my traditional wedding. We had to go back home. Then we had to go back again and do her traditional wedding. And then we had to go back again and do the church wedding because we're Catholic. Those were the conditions.
3 weddings?
3 weddings, yeah.
Could you not have done all 3 of them while you're in?
Nah. So because of traditions, we come from different traditions. We had to do it the traditional way, and you couldn't do it the same time. Part of the traditional way is we had to discuss dowry.
Yeah.
You know what dowry is. Yeah.
I do, but for the folks playing at home.
Yeah. It's just when you go like, you go Woolies and you pay for stuff.
Yeah.
You take them home.
Yeah.
Kind of same. Nah, it's not. Dowry is it's sort of like they sit down and they work out, like elders come from your community to my community. They sit down and they discuss. So we say dowry as a part of appreciation. So they'll sit down and say, she's going to school, she's done all this. Then they discuss a prize. It's not really a prize where they'll say it might be like 40 goats.
Yeah.
And 10 cows.
So it is livestock.
It is livestock. It's actually amounted in livestock, but because you can't carry the livestock, then they do that. They quantify that to monetary value.
Yeah.
And then your bride price is paid for the rest of your life. It's not something you pay up front.
What do you mean?
So if we discuss a bride price, we get married.
Yeah.
Every time I meet my in-laws, I give them something small and write it in the book. And I'll keep doing that up until such a time comes. Now that I've got kids, I've got a daughter.
Yeah.
The time I'll finish my dowry is when my daughter is getting married. When I'm asking for the bride price or dowry, that's when I'll finish my wife's dowry.
Right.
So my wife's parents, they've been married, I think it's 30 years.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It could be more, could be less. But the day they asked for the bride price was the day dad paid the last dowry for the mum.
So what do you make wait an extra year for? He could have got a cheaper deal. That's unreal.
I think I want to say maybe the interest was going up a bit.
That's crazy. Where did that come from? Where does that that's a crazy sort of tradition.
It's sort of like
Well, not crazy. I don't mean to be offensive.
It's a tradition that was followed back in the days a lot because I think I've got to explain why dowry is very important.
Yeah.
So in my community, we don't believe in divorce.
Okay.
It's not something that's talked about.
Yeah.
One of the reasons.
Does it happen at all?
Not in the village. Not. It does now, but not something that used to happen.
Okay. Yeah.
And divorce is not the way you guys do divorce. Divorce is sort of like somebody will go for a couple of years, come back, technically divorced, but you're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So divorce is not something that's talked about. It's not something. It's taboo.
Okay.
So dowry is part of that. That the way it was measured was, it keeps you together. Make sense?
Yeah.
So an appreciation, you go and you've gotten a good girl, you're appreciating the family, you're paying the dowry. So say, I don't know how they talk about it because we don't sit there. The elders sit there and discuss. Whatever they discuss, they know what they discuss. But that's how it's worked out.
Yeah.
And then you're appreciating the family every time you meet them. You're appreciating for the kind of daughter they've been able to give you. Yeah. And male are the ones who pay dowry.
Yeah.
So it's just I think it's just a way that was set up to keep you together. So if you paid up front, I can decide tomorrow, I'm like, yeah, I'm tired. Nah, I'm not doing this anymore. So one of the things my uncle told me was they do that so that when you get tired, you sit down together, you're like, you go have a cup of tea, come back and let's do it again.
Yeah.
If you fight and, they go walk about and all that, the elders will come and put you together. They'll sit there and they'll actually discuss on your behalf to say, what are the problems? What's going on? By the time they leave, everyone's back in the house.
Yeah, right.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just a tradition that have actually been lost over the years because now the younger generations don't really follow tradition that much.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you going to do with your daughter? If she gets to, she decides she wants to marry an Australian guy and there's no, that's not part of our culture. What are you going to do?
It's a difficult question, man.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I hope we do try and teach them the little tradition we know.
Yeah.
And hopefully that when they do grow up, it will work. In our family, we do have people who married Australians,
Yeah.
But
what have they done?
They've gone through traditions. They've done the whole dowry thing and whatnot. So I guess it depends on what partner you get,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
interesting. Because that's a whole other hurdle you're going to have to overcome at some stage.
It's quite interesting because I think have you traveled overseas before?
Yeah, but no, not a lot of fun travel.
Yeah, but so what I've found out in my time in Australia is if you talk to people who've traveled overseas or who've seen different cultures, they understand. But when you have this conversation to someone who's just seen it on TV, and they will never understand. So even if you try and explain it, it's very difficult until you actually go into these communities, and then you sort of see, oh, that makes sense why they do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So because like one of the things back home is, bringing up kids is a community thing.
Yeah.
But when you say community, it doesn't mean like the whole community is there. It's sort of like, if you did something around the community, your mom knows.
Yeah, someone's telling your mom.
Someone's telling your mom. You know what I mean? If you did something and someone knows your mom, they'll whoop your ass.
Yeah.
And then tell your mom.
Yes,
and then your mom will whoop your ass.
Yeah. So we can't touch other people's kids like that. Like I even struggle. Like my little nephew gets on my nerves sometimes. He does something naughty, slaps my niece in the face. She's younger. It's not my kid.
It's not
I can't like it was my kid. I'm like, man, I will send you cartwheeling down that hallway. You just slapped your sister in the face for no reason. But it's
different. That's
I want to move to Africa. I want this. I want to be able to.
I'll tell you what. Growing
slap
up,
these little fuckers.
See, growing up, my mom had her thong was like a boomerang.
Yeah,
you'd be 10 kilometers away, do something. All she had to do was just, will come hit you, come back. She'll hold it, put it back on, and life goes on. Fuck. So if you did something, you knew someone was watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
There was no secret. Like you knew someone was watching. If you had a girlfriend somewhere, before you even saw her, your mom knows.
Yeah.
You're walking around, you look at someone, she knows.
Yeah.
You get terms like, so no wonder these days you just keep walking around. You're just looking at girls and you know what I mean? Like they know. And that's the sort of culture we grew up on, which is it's not at the moment now. It's sort of like, dying a bit because there's a lot of influence from the Western culture that's coming in. So,
Yeah, I had this conversation with, or a similar conversation with Isaac, actually, a few weeks back. And he was saying that he pointed out that we don't, and I know I've said this to a few people, that we don't have as like white Western society, like Australians and probably Americans and whatnot, even the English probably don't. We don't seem to have like a coming of age tradition or ceremony or anything that really delineates like as a boy getting to a point where like, no, from now you are a man. Like obviously for argument's sake, we do it at 13. We're obviously not going to lump the entire responsibility of a full-grown man on a 13-year-old, but they start to take up little piece by piece that mantle of of manlyhood, manliness and manhood, and start to provide and whatnot. What, like, you guys, I assume in Africa, being a tribal thing, do you guys have like a coming of age sort of ritual that happens?
Yes, we did. So circumcision is one of them.
Oh yeah,
circumcision is one rite of passage.
Yeah. Well, so you're doing that like not at birth, like at
No. And when we do it, when I did it, so I don't know what happens now. When I did it is so we had a hut in the middle of the farm where we would do the hut by ourselves, where we would stay there after circumcision.
Yeah.
And when we did it, they would pile us as a group, like same age group.
Yeah.
And then there's a word that we use, omoisi. Omoisi is a boy who's not circumcised. Yeah. So I can't call someone who's older omoisi, but they can call me because they got circumcised before me.
Yeah.
It's like looking down, young kid, stay in your lane. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
is it like heavily derogatory, or is it kind of like we have? I'm trying to sort
picture.
of
It is derogatory in that it's a respect thing. Like if someone older told you and they got circumcised before you, it's sort of like they feel like I'm older than you. Like I got this. I got my shit done.
Yeah.
But then you could do it. So assuming you got circumcised and someone older in your age group, didn't get circumcised at the same time, and they had to wait the next group. See, they're no longer, it doesn't matter if they're older, you're more of a man than they are.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How do they do this circumcision? Like, I'm assuming it's not the same as what we kind of have with the Western. I know this might be TMI, but I'm genuinely interested.
You go in the river in the morning.
Yeah.
You go, it's really cold. Yeah. You go there and you sit there and it becomes numb.
Yeah.
And then you come back and you just gotta stand there like, take it like a man.
What?
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, dude. I was like, holy shit. Oh, Dad. I was like, dude, that's hectic. That's fucking
Nah, it's kind of
crazy.
similar, but that's it now. So they did that, but when I did it, they didn't do that. We did get
Like painkillers.
painkillers,
Oh, okay.
but they still did that.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
didn't feel as much pain.
Yeah, yeah.
But they do it such that it's just at the brink where you feel a bit of pain, because that part of feeling pain is what makes you a man. You know what I mean? If you can take it, then you have that rite of passage. Then we have mentorship as well.
Okay.
So you have older boys who'd come and sit, and they'll tell you about girls, they'll tell you about all these things. It's just sort of like a way of respect.
Yeah.
Once you're circumcised, if you live in your mom's house, you don't live in your mom's house anymore. So they
really?
build a house separate. Yes. So once you get circumcised, you're not supposed to go into your mom's house.
Yeah.
Because you're a man. So
yeah.
you have what we call saiga, is like a boys' cave where they build outside. So that's where you sleep. That's where you do everything.
Like all the boys, or just all by yourself?
Once you get circumcised, if you get circumcised same age group, that's where you stay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it's like a respect thing, Yeah. You're a man. I mean, why would you go back to your mom's house? Your dad's there. He's the man of the house. The man of the house. So
yeah,
you gotta sit in your lane, man, until you get your own family, and then you can go in the house. You know what I mean? So those are the traditions sort of like have sort of gone. Yeah.
What age are you doing this?
I got circumcised at 12, 13.
12, 13? Yeah, about that.
Yeah, about that age, yeah.
So what? You have people not... Why would they not do it at the same time as you? Like if we're both 12.
It could be any reason. So some families would say he's a bit young, or maybe he was in school when you did it, and it could be any reason. It's a big thing, it is a big ceremony. So anyone, and it doesn't have to be the same family. Like we could be a few boys within the community who are the same age group. The families would come together and you're like, oh, Freddie's having circumcision ceremony. And then I'm like, oh yeah, my boy is of age. He wants to jump on. And then, so it's kind of the same thing. In the same school, So you didn't want to be that boy that didn't get circumcised if you're in the same age group. You know what I mean? So between 10 and 14, that would be the nice group where you grew up together. And it also brought that brotherhood.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives you brotherhood where, you walk around, that's my brother,
Yeah.
Our penises got cut the same. Blood bonding.
Yeah. I don't think you're supposed to dock straight after Fred. I think that was just a you thing, bud. You took a little bit of tradition, a little bit of Fred.
Tradition,
Put your own little spice on it.
No. Just saying, yeah. So that's part of some of the traditions we grew up with.
So it's almost like, do your parents just tell you like, I think it's time, we're doing it next week, or
it's
is
unspoken? You just know.
Yeah, right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
there is stuff in tradition that's unspoken. It's not like your dad will sit you down and say, "All right, you're gonna get." Nah, I can't even remember how it happened. You just knew.
Yeah, I'm just sort of wondering, like, whether it was because you're saying like they're like, oh look, this kid's probably still a little bit immature.
Yeah,
he's not quite ready. But then other boys hear you're doing it, and they're like, okay, yeah, sweet, I'll get it done as well.
Yeah.
Like it seems very almost. Sort of spur of the moment to a degree.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. It feels like that, but then there are those unspoken things that happen where you just knew. So say me and I don't know how old you are, but like
34.
34.
Yeah,
so you're such a kid, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, like me and you would probably be, say, we were in the same school.
Yeah,
we're in the same age bracket. I'm 36, right?
Yeah.
So we've been playing together. We're mates. All that, so we're within that bracket. So if I'm getting circumcised, my ceremony is coming up. Of course, we're talking in school.
Yeah.
You might go tell your dad, oh, Fred is getting circumcised. I want to get circumcised.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So it's sort of like a feel you knew at that time. But then there's no way you'd be walking with a 7-year-old. So there's no way a 7-year-old would come and say, oh, I want to get circumcised because Fred's getting circumcised. You know, it makes sense? So, so it's sort of like unspoken, but you just knew when the time came.
Yeah, I guess when you kind of mentioned that it was a thing, I kind of figured it was maybe like at the end of the year, everyone of this year group, like we're all doing it this day. No, so it's a bit sort of haphazard throughout.
It's haphazard throughout the year. Yeah, some people will do it at the beginning of the season, beginning of the year. Yeah. Some of them will do towards the end, just before Christmas, and then when you come out, you have your ceremony as part of Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, so you guys do Christmas In
we do.
Yeah, right. Okay. Is it so? You say like you're Catholic. Is that the whole tribe? It's like the
No.
national thing. Because I was
So missionaries, when the missionaries came, it depends on where the missionaries actually settled, and you find people took up that religion. So like the Seventh Day missionaries settled in the western part of Africa, of Kenya. You find a lot of Westerns. A lot of them are Seventh Day Adventists. Then you have Catholics who settle in the city. You know what I mean? So it's sort of that is sort of flawed with that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the national religion then before missionaries
We
came?
didn't have a religion.
What was like the belief
We just believed in the mountain.
in the mountain?
Yeah, the man in the mountain. It's true.
I don't know if you're fucking with me or not.
No, I'm dead serious. Like we prayed in the man in the mountain. Like, you know, there was a god of the mountain.
Walk me through this. I need.
So like the Kikuyus had there was a big mountain where they believed God lived in that mountain, and every time they prayed, they faced the mountain.
I still
prayed.
think you're fucking.
No, I'm dead serious.
Really?
Yeah.
The man in the mountain.
Yeah, the man in the
I mean,
mountain.
it's no
it's God in the mountain,
more
man.
religious. Yeah, it's no more ridiculous than any other sort
I
of.
know, it's all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like when he trained, we prayed to God and he trained.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was no.
What was the
see,
strike
structured-
rate on that though?
What's that?
What was the strike rate on like we pray and it rains?
Yeah.
Like how often are you like we prayed and 20 minutes later we got rain, or is it like
I don't know. It rained. We just went out there. We send like the rainmakers. They go and have a dance. No.
Oh, so it's like
we just prayed, man.
See, that's what I mean.
We just prayed. We
Fuck
just
with me
prayed.
left, right, and center, and now I look like an asshole because I'm laughing at the man in the mountain.
No, we just prayed. So some
Yeah,
people
yeah.
prayed to the mountain. Some people had that belief. You know, like those just traditions. You know, this traditional wedding. We believed we have witchcraft back home in my
Yeah, right.
community. So that's another thing that people went down that route. Where
What kind of witchcraft?
could be anything, man. There's you want to talk to your brother. You haven't talked to your brother in a few years.
Yeah.
Come, I'll give you something for it.
What?
Yeah.
Like as in a dead relative, or are you talking like they're just not here and you haven't?
Nah, your brother's here. You know, like the way I want to say white people, like you can have a brother down the road you haven't talked to for like 6-7 months,
Yeah.
and you just had a fight or something like
Yeah.
that. You haven't talked to them. There, which doctors will tell you like you haven't talked to them, you have a fight, you're not getting along in a family. Come, I'll give you something for it. Do you want to fall in love, or you fall in love with someone and they're not loving you back? Come, I'll give you a love potion.
How effective is this stuff?
Let me ask you, religion, right? And religion,
Yeah,
what is faith?
that's a good question. I mean, it's
It's just believing on something that doesn't exist, but you have strong belief towards it that it does exist.
yeah, I suppose, yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
So same thing. I reckon witchcraft was kind of the same thing. It's just power positive, what you think about. So if you believe strongly that, you know, someone gave you a piece of water, it's a love potion, and I think you sort of
yeah. But the love potion one is. I get the going and talking to your brother thing.
yeah.
That one, this, the love potion is the one that's throwing me.
I'm
'cause
telling you
that's-
that people actually did believe that this stuff worked.
but that's like just because.
I know it doesn't make sense.
You know what I mean?
but
Because I drink it and I'm in love with you, Fred, but you don't love me back. Like, well, how does me drinking mean you? You know what I mean?
I'll give you the strangest one, right?
Yeah.
So in my communities, when you're dead, when you die, you have to your body has to sleep in the family home overnight before you get buried
Okay.
Right.
Why?
to appease the ancestors.
Okay.
Right? When you get buried, we have to stay around the grave for at least 4 days. So the elders or the people will just drink around the grave for 4 days.
Like 24 hours a day.
They'll just stay there. Yeah. Just on the piece, just drink
Yeah.
and stay there. One of the reasons we believe is I haven't seen it,
Yeah.
but there are people who have seen it, that there are people who come and steal fresh body, you know?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
grave robbers.
They are
and that.
grave robbers, but they're
Yeah.
not grave robbers. They'll come and steal the body for witchcraft. So
Yeah,
there are stories
right.
that have been told where apparently there's someone who comes with this big stick and just taps the ground
Yeah.
and the coffin comes up. See, these are stories that have been told for so many years that
Yeah.
people do believe that. So it could be grave robbers who've come and taken
Yeah.
whatever they wanted from the grave. But for us, it's a belief that you got to stay there for 4 days. Body starts rotting after 4 days, no longer
Viable.
viable.
Yeah, right. Okay.
We have night runners. That's something I've experienced. So
What's a night runner?
in the village, we had somebody, one of our neighbors who's a night runner. So at night, they would just strip naked, butt naked, and start running. It's like they're possessed. And I tell you what, they're pretty fast.
What?
No, I'm dead serious. They'll come, like they do all this stuff, and apparently they don't know when they're doing it. It's like sleepwalking. So they'll come and jump on top of the roof, and you can hear footsteps on top of the roof.
Yeah.
Or they'll take a doo-doo in front of your door, and you wake up in the mornings, doo-doo in front of your door. That stuff has actually happened.
Yeah.
And I've witnessed that. And they don't know where they're doing that. So if you open the window, you can see them just, it's like a flash. But stories have been told that that's possession. Night running is like a possession, like a spirit possession.
Yeah.
So they don't know when they're doing it. It's only particular people who have the night running in their family, and it's sort of like passed down. I don't know how true that is, but
I was gonna say,
it's the stories that have been told. But I have witnessed when I was back in the village when we had a night runner, and she was known. And even witchcraft, like people who practice witchcraft, are known to the community.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are actually known to the community. But as long as you haven't harmed someone, they can't harm you.
What do you mean? The witch doctor can't?
Yeah, if the witch doctor hasn't harmed anyone in the community, they are not harmed.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Until they actually do something that's known that came from them. But people who practice witchcraft are known to the community.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Interesting.
This witchcraft thing is the thing that's that's thrown me. Like that's
it's indifferent. Like, see, that's the thing, is different communities practice differently.
Yeah.
And it's something that's in African culture. And even in different parts. It's not necessarily just Kenya, or even Nigeria is big on it. They actually believe on human spirit.
What do you mean?
So if you're successful, someone will come and kidnap you, keep you alive, will feed you just bare minimum. You will lose weight and everything. And they believe by kidnapping your spirit, they now inherit your wealth. And it's happened that people become rich. So there's several stories where they've been seen where they've saved. There was one that was very big, where this girl was very popular and she was kidnapped. And when she was saved, this guy had actually taken her and put her in in a tank.
Yeah.
In where he lives, in a tank. And when she was in there, he would just go and feed her just bare, just to keep her alive. And she was there for about 7-8 months. And people were wondering, this guy is just all of a sudden just becoming wealthy. Why?
Yeah.
And then somehow, I think someone did see him walk towards the tank one night, and they went to investigate, and they found. And when they saved the girl, he couldn't recognize her. She was bare bones, barely alive.
Jeez.
Yeah. So these are things that actually do happen. I know, it's just belief, I guess.
Yeah, it's so crazy because it's just so different to anything I've experienced that we have here in Australia.
I think even the indigenous people do have some sort of like a spirit thing going on. Yeah. But I think that's ingrained in culture or tradition.
Yeah. So what's the sort of accepted like origin story of the world? Like I had the word and I just completely forgot what it was.
Oh, like the Big Bang
creation story.
Creation
what's the like the creation belief of like your tribe and that? Do you know that?
I want to lie to you, but I'm not gonna do it. No, I don't know. I think I don't know. Like I don't think that's something I'm very familiar with. I have a vague story.
Yeah.
But it's not like the Big Bang theory. Because you see, the thing is, if you didn't have Western education, you become very flawed once you have that. Because when we were taught geography, we were told like my community did migration. We migrated from the south. We came as Bantu into Kenya. So we moved from the south, and that's what the migration story we have. So we start becoming flawed on what the traditionalists actually believe where we came from. You know what I mean? So the migration story, what we were taught in school is people settled different. So communities, the Bantus came from the south, and you have the Nilotes who settled in like lakes and things like those. You have the Maasai who were they just migrated with animals, and that's where people settled in Kenya or in the whole of Africa. So you have Africa, we have people who sort of speak the same language from the same community but live in different parts of Africa, in different countries in Africa. So yeah, I'm not very familiar with our traditional, like the Big Bang. So,
Yeah. Is Kenya sort of, is it as crazy as like you see, it's going to sound probably pretty dumb
That's all right.
on the movies and that.
Yeah.
With like the militias and stuff getting around, or is that more in a different area
That's
of Africa?
more West Africa that do have the militias and stuff.
Yeah.
So within the communities, we do have, especially during elections, you get like tribal fights and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that divides us a lot is elections, because you have to choose one leader from all these different tribes, and when it comes to election, everyone thinks, oh, you had a leader from your community, so we need a leader from our tribe. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
So
no different.
so
to
then
us here.
exactly. So you clash heads a lot, and that's where you have warriors, like you have the Maasai warriors who fight with you have the Kipsigi. So so that's when,
and they
in 2006 there was a very bad post-election violence where people a lot of people lost their lives.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people lost their
lives. Are they fighting traditionally? Like
they're fighting tradition. It's sort of like
so they're not getting an AK. It's traditional weapons.
Traditional weapons, like people burning down houses, and you got people arrows. So look at it like this: it's something that's actually happening in Australia at the moment. There's this belief that immigrants have come and taken all the jobs. And it's starting to ingrain in a lot of people where they just see you and the first thing is you've come and taken our jobs. I've been part of that. I've had people who say, oh, I was coming off the server one time and this dickhead just walked in. He's like, oh, you bloody Africans coming and taking all our jobs. And, so I don't know if you say that's racism. I can't blame them, because there's that belief that when you don't have and someone else has, they've taken what is rightfully meant for you.
Yeah.
But that's not usually the case.
Yeah.
So I think it's just sort of like a similar thing. So I don't know if that's a tribal thing, but or rather a human thing, you know? So
I think it's a human thing.
It's a human thing, yeah. So like the 2006, when everyone was fighting, people who barely had, so if you had, say, someone from a different tribe who came in your community and was doing very well, people were like, oh, he's the reason why we don't have, and we're just going to take him out and take what he owns. And so
that's crazy.
Yeah. It's different, eh?
yeah, it's very different.
Yeah. So
it's so interesting, dude.
Yeah, it's different because the culture is very different. Like even when I came here, I went because I had my own, like I came with that mindset of culture back home, and then you come. On the first day I came to Australia, like my first week, I struggled, man. I had a big struggle because integrating took me a fair bit, especially like driving.
Yeah, road rules. Yeah.
See, Kenya. And I was talking about Kenya. I'm not saying Africa, but Kenya. Like the way you have your indicators?
Yeah.
I tell you what, I think people in Kenya think that's a fashion accessory that comes with the car.
Yeah, don't use it.
Yeah, you just turn it on, you're like, Christmas,
Yeah,
like full light, headlight, full light. I think they're just like, oh, my car's it's got white lights. Ooh, too much. People drive with full lights.
True.
Yeah.
Dude, no. Blind people.
Like a 2-lane road?
Yeah.
During traffic?
Yeah.
You'd expect the traffic could be flowing. No, 2 lane won't become 4 lanes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've seen that. I think it's like Thailand.
Yeah.
It's more so the same thing. Oh, it's changed over it's changed now. It's a bit better now. Like we've got highways, the Chinese have come and built some highways there.
Oh, see the Chinese, they're moving in. They're trying to take
coming
Africa.
in. It's funny because I went back home a couple of years back and there was a Chinese person speaking my traditional language. That was scary.
Yeah?
Yes. That was very confusing.
Yeah, they're smart. The Chinese Communist Party.
Gotta hand it to them. They're smart. Yeah.
They're smart.
But I was telling you, like when I came, I struggled a bit. So like my very first time driving, story time. It's not funny, right?
Yeah.
So I came and I was supposed to go to. We lived in Algester. Very few people know this story, but I'll say.
Yeah, let it out, mate.
In the book.
This is the place.
Yes. So I was supposed to go to Algester. Yeah, I was living in Algester, but I was supposed to go to West End. But I'd only used the bus one day. Like I came here like on a Thursday, and that was like a Sunday, or I think it was Sunday, if I remember. Yeah. So the person who gave me the car wanted to take in to West End. So they asked me, do you know how to drive? I'm just from Africa. And I'm like, who gives you a car? Like, like, yes, I know how to drive. Do you know where to go? Of course I know how to go. Like you're such a boy. Like I came when I was 28. Like I was at my peak,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna look cool, Everyone's just gonna see me. I'm gonna get all the white women, and that's what everyone thinks when you come. You're like, So I got in the car. In my mind, I didn't have the phone that I had was the Motorola V3 and it was pink. They don't even have GPS or anything.
Yeah.
In my mind, my thinking was I'm going to the bus stop and I'm gonna follow the 130 and that will take me to West End. Stop. Stop. Just stop it.
That's awesome.
Can I just finish the story, please?
Yes. I'm sorry.
All right. So,
keep going. Keep going.
there's an old Mitsubishi Magna. Go to the bus stop. 130 comes. I'm like, I got this. You psych yourself up. I got this. I'm the man. I follow the bus all the way. Sunnybank. All the bus stop, I was behind the bus. It went down, where Griffith exit is?
Yep.
It turned right into the busway.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy was behind the bus. It's not funny. Look, I'm driving down and I'm looking on the other side, the M1 or Pacific Highway. I'm like, oh, these dickheads, there's traffic there. It was a Monday because there was traffic.
Yeah.
There's traffic there and there's a perfectly good road here that has no traffic. Uh-huh. We get to Wollongabba and two coppers came. Someone must have rang them. I got stopped there. I'm sweating I'm like, I've only been here 2 days. This is my street cred gone.
Yeah.
I'm going to jail. I'm going back to Africa right now. So they come and the Aussie English is one of the worst English out there.
Oh, 100%.
No one understands you.
Yeah.
So imagine me, English is my second language, and this guy, I had no idea what he was saying. He was furious. Because back home, when the police stops you, you go to them. They don't come to you. So I stopped the car, opened the door. I was taking my license to them.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Get back in the car. Go back in the car. I'm like, what's happening? I have no idea what's happening. So I come to the window. The car was old, so the window wouldn't go all the way down.
Yeah.
It was just this much. He's like, open the window. I'm like, this is as much as it could open. And if you notice, I become much better is when I'm tense, I forget my words a lot.
Yeah.
So this much, and he's just yelling at me, giving my license, our license from Kenya, because we were allowed to use our driving license, our Kenya, because you're a student, you can use your international license. But our license is like a book. It's like a 2-page book with hardcover.
Yeah.
So I had mangled mine because when I came in the plane, I just wanted it close to me, and it was torn. It looked a bit brittle. And this guy gave it to me. He was like, what's this? Like my driving license. Like, what do you mean your driving license? And he goes off a tangent. And like, I had no idea what he was going. But the other cop was kind enough. I think he went and looked up my details, and so I wasn't here long.
Yeah.
So he came down. He had a chat to me. I was nearly crying.
Yeah.
I was like, this is me going. I'm going to prison right now. This is it. So they decided to let me off with a warning. But I was supposed to take the car to West End, which they will escort me. But I wasn't meant to drive again.
Yeah. So
now I had 2 police cars, one at the front, one at the back, coming off from driving like a cool guy. I was driving like an old guy. sweating my balls out driving out. And that was my very first experience.
That's
driving.
Amazing.
I know. I look back sometimes on this, and even so one of the things after that, I was not meant to drive with my international license. I had to get a Queensland license.
Yeah.
So I could drive. So I did my Queensland test, and I was like, happy days. So when I got my first car, I was driving Pacific Highway. No one told me that toll roads are paid. I didn't know that. So I just put my GPS when I got my first job through the toll. For 2 weeks, I was going through the tolls, just driving. My tickets kept piling up. I didn't have a toll tag. For nearly 3 months, I had tickets, and I didn't know you're supposed to pay your tickets. When the SPA came knocking, I had close to 7,000 worth of tickets.
Holy
I hadn't paid.
shit.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you do? How'd you pay them off?
Just went $70, man. $7 a month until I got paid, and I paid them off. I learned the hard way because see, this is the thing is And I do understand when people do talk about integration, you know, when you come in and integration, because sometimes there's not a lot of support out there. And it's not by fault, or I think sometimes it's by choice.
Yeah.
But even now, like when I see people come in, I do tell them like stories like that. And Australia is such a beautiful country, and a lot of people don't know that. I think even Australians themselves don't know what beauty Australia has to give. When you come from a third world country and you come and you find all the privileges, this is a place where you can be anything, you can do anything you want. You know, you can earn peanuts and still have a life. But appreciation, I think people forget appreciating. And once you learn to appreciate, once you learn to see the beauty of what you have, I think life becomes much better. You know what I mean? And I keep telling people that even, you know, like you go through all these things that people will look and you're like, you know, a bit of a dickhead. How would you not know that? You know, but then once you start appreciating and asking, and you know, and then you find life becomes very different. So yeah, I did struggle the first 3 months, but once I got my feet, I'll never look back. It's good to have funny stories like that.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh man, that's the thing. As long as it doesn't kill you, it's a good story for later. Like, you just have a laugh about it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Because even the bus stop, you know, like the way you use your go-kart.
Yeah. I have no idea.
No way.
I've never taken a bus.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've always just driven
You're
everywhere.
kidding.
Or just walked or ridden a bike. Yeah, I've actually never jumped on a bus. I've been on like the trams and trains. I've never jumped on a bus.
Yeah.
Outside of like, I shouldn't say never, because you jump on the bus. Like, we went to watch a footy game a few months and months ago. With some old housemates, and they had free buses. I've jumped on those, but I've never actually caught a bus from point A to point B. Like in the course of day-to-day life.
See, I would find that very strange, the way you have so many buses around.
Yeah.
But I see where you're coming from, because even once I started driving, I'll never use the bus again.
Yeah.
If I have, like, it's just been maybe once.
Yeah.
But I never knew how to use the go-kart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll see everyone lining up to go tap at the front. I just got in the back, tapped my card and sat down. Bus driver wasn't very happy. He turned around, looked back, said, "Young man, sit at the back there. Can you come to the front, tap your card so that I can see you have, have paid?"
Yeah.
So I walked down the walk of shame, went tap my card, looked back, saw everyone looking at me.
Yeah.
Nah, not today. So I just got off the bus. I
I'll
waited for the
just
next
walk.
one. Yeah, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm from Africa. I'll walk. It's only 30 kilometers, man.
That's
all right.
fucking great.
I'll run it if I want to.
That is hilarious. Holy shit.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, life has been good. I can't look back. Yeah.
So have you? It's probably going to be a harder one to answer.
That's all right.
Have you experienced much racism since you've actually got here to Australia? Like, I can't imagine you have much, obviously, in Africa.
I did at first.
Yeah.
It's how you handle it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I think I might have shown you a bit of how I handle it.
Yeah, yeah.
I just get the funny bit of it, the satire of it.
Just
because if you just have a laugh about it. Because as you say, sometimes, I think sometimes it's not their fault. Is if you don't know anything beyond that, it's all you know. I can't blame you for it.
Yeah.
Sometimes being ignorant is not by choice. You're just ignorant because you are just ignorant. It's not just it's what you know. You know what I mean? So I can't persecute you for that. I mean, as long as for whatever intentions you have towards it, because everyone's got problems. Sometimes someone's just going through something and just off, it's just going on a rant, and you're the next person that they've met. So I did receive it at first, and I struggled at the beginning. I did struggle. There was times I would go home and I'd cry. I'm like, Jesus, why did I make this choice? It was time life was really hard. My very first job, I worked for this Asian in Middlebrook, and I earned $11 an hour. I didn't know that was illegal.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I had to work I would go to school, come back and work just to get by, because I didn't know that was illegal. So I worked there for like nearly 4 months before I found out that was illegal. And I was like, is that a form of racist? Did he just, And the day I found out was part of the contract was we were not supposed to tell anyone how much we earn. So in the company, we couldn't talk. And then because from where I came, like I never talked so much because I had a very big accent at the time.
Yeah.
So as I got more comfortable and I started talking to people, and I found in the same job, there are people actually earning more than me. There's people earning 25, 20, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, and that was my very first experience.
Yeah. I wonder whether that was whether he was just like, whether it was like active racism, whether he was just like, this guy's
This
not
guy-
from here, I can get away with paying him less.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Rather
Yeah,
than being
yeah.
like, because you're black,
Because you're black. Exactly.
I wonder if it was more.
I know that's
Hard to know.
It's hard to know what he
Yeah.
was thinking, but it was kind of painful. Where I think I was one of the best employees. I honestly do think, and I'm not just saying that. I don't mind, getting my hands dirty. Like I used to go Saturday, Sunday. Sometimes I'm like, I'll work Sunday.
Yeah.
I'll come do the still work Sunday. And I got the key for the company. I'd go open up, turn the machine on, do some cuts on Sunday. No one else showed up. But then at that time, you're like, I always look back. I'm like, was that? But anyway, besides that, there's other forms of race. Like I was told, I was coming off the service. I'm like, oh, you bloody come here, getting on our jobs and stuff. There's another one, and I kid you not. You might not believe me, but I'm just gonna say, take it whatever, which way you want. Applying for jobs. Whenever I did my CV and wrote Fred Elijah Ogoti, yes, I never got an interview. Even if I had the same qualification, never got an interview. When I changed my name and I dropped the Ogoti, I wrote Fred Elijah, I got, there's a job I applied, the same job with all my three names, didn't get an interview.
Yeah.
I played the same job with my two names, like Elijah Fred, and I got an interview.
Did you bring it up with him?
Nah.
Did you get the job?
I just went for the interview, man. Yeah. I showed up. I was like, yeah.
Did you get the job in the end?
I don't know if I got the job because I walked off. I was like, I don't think this is good for me.
Yeah, fair.
I don't think this is for me now.
Yeah.
But it's happened, and and racism is something that's very subtle, and it depends on how you actually look at it. Even at work, I think sometimes you sort of see there, and that's why I go back and I'll say, I think if you haven't been outside your normal, anything that's not normal to you is a threat. You know what I mean? Because even like when I bought the car that I drive at the moment, at the beginning, I struggled driving it because I was like, when you come out, how would people perceive you? You know what I mean? And I have met a few people who would make a comment, one or two comments here, and I'll just turn it into a joke.
Yeah.
I'll just say, oh, I sold a few cows and
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So, but I found one thing on how to deal with racism is I had a friend who was didn't like black people very much.
Yeah.
But we're very good friends at the moment because that's the thing. I can't make jokes like I want to I'm white and and we'd sit down, and I think it's also one of the things I call a spade a spade. I will tell you, like, I don't agree with sometimes people who represent us in our communities are not the people who are doing like the most amazing things out there. And I'll call a spade a spade. Even at work, sometimes I'll call up the boys. I'm like, you're making us look bad. And it's very difficult when you're in a place where everyone that sees you think you're all the same. Because we have our own struggles within our communities. We have the Sudanese, we have the Kenyans, we have the Zimbabweans. And we also struggle because we don't like each other that much. So you can imagine you have all these people punching around you, So that's why when we sit together and like when I'm among my community and I sit there, we try to have this conversation because it's a hard conversations to have that. Sometimes the things we do that people remember, you might do 100 good things, but that one bad thing you do will overshadow everything else.
Yeah. That happens a lot. Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest problem with racism is not everyone is bad. We have people doing amazing things. But that one bad thing that will happen and it spreads to the community and everyone, like you can do, 5 years of good work and then that one will just take all that away.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problems that we have at the moment.
Yeah. I think that problem stems, like, I shouldn't say stems, but is across everything. Like police get the same thing. Someone could have nothing but good interactions for 10 years with a cop and then have one asshole copper
and that's
be a prick to them. And then every cop they see is a piece of shit. And you're like, well, there's one bad apple. Like, I think that happens across
but in all the countries I've been to, Australia's racism is not that bad.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's not that
I didn't
bad.
think it. I mean, I know I'm a blue-eyed, blonde-haired white dude.
No.
But there's always this, because I remember seeing a TikTok or something a little while ago, and it was an Australian person going on like, yeah, we're the most racist country. We're known as being racist. And I was like, I feel like we're not. I feel like there's maybe a small subsect of people who are like, yeah, there's some racists there. But there's racists everywhere.
There's a racism
Doesn't matter
everywhere.
where you go.
The degree is different. I don't think Australia's racism is of that degree where I can say, you know what, it's a bad. And everyone I do say, and I'm sorry to all Australians. I encourage my people to come. Like, just come with the boats, man. Come and save us with the canoes and the spears and everything. Like, you are more than welcome. Nah, I'm just messing. Now I do tell them, like, it's a beautiful country. Australia is multicultural, you know. Yeah. We all have different cultures, but and the message I tell to everyone is, if we could all embrace our culture and try to bring it and find the richness that's in there, and just pick something from it, pick something from here, then we're all the same.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're all the same, you know.
Yeah.
As long as we're all intending good to each other, we're all the same.
Yeah. I like that. It's probably a good point to have a little break, man.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah.
Let's have a break. We're back in a sec.
That's it.
All right. But yeah, no, they are. They're not bad. We've got ourselves some mango solos.
The fake ones.
Yeah.
Zero sugar.
Yeah. With zero sugar, yeah. Really good. I'm very surprised at how good they are, actually.
Yeah, but zero sugar is fake, man.
Yeah, yes. I'm in Hollywood now, mate. I'm going to watch my figure. Yeah, so we were kind of having a little bit of a chat while we were off taking a whiz. Yeah. Not together. We didn't pee together. Though we would. Like, I wouldn't care.
It's all right if you hold my hand.
Yeah. I'll shake it for you if you shake mine. Yeah, you were mentioning you've had some struggles with depression.
Oh, yeah. That's true.
You want to talk me through that?
Yeah. What can I say? I was just saying, like, depression is one of those things that you can actually go through depression and not even know it. You know
how do you mean?
So, a while back, I went through depression. Like, I was depressed. I didn't even know it. Like, I wasn't sleeping. You know, I was just heaps of stuff that was happening in my life at the time, and I didn't mention that. Even did consider, just
checking out,
just stepping out. Like, sometimes life gets you to that point where you hit rock bottom. You're low and you got nothing to lose. Like you start having thoughts of like, oh, no one will miss me. If they did, they'll just miss you for a couple of days and that's it. Or you feel like you're a burden.
Yeah,
that's a bad one. You feel like you're a burden to them by being there, and if you were not there, they'd be better.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big one. I think for men,
yes,
in general,
that's a bad one.
Yeah,
but I did go through depression. So I reckon I went through twice. So back in Africa, I did go through a part of that, but the biggest one is here when I was in uni. So on my last project for uni, because here there's a big thing is you have to be a full-time student to maintain your visa.
Okay.
And being a full-time student, you have to do either 3 or 4 courses, 3-4 units a semester. But when I came here, I got lucky because I had credits. So my uni just, I only did like, I think it was 1.5 years I did for my degree. But now on my last project, I did like a 20 credit project, which I did the whole time. And then my computer decided, this is it.
Oh.
2 weeks before presentation.
Dude.
It's like, this is it. Nah, not doing this. And I just I was at the bottom there.
Yeah.
Because I knew there was nothing else I could do. I couldn't pay for another unit. I couldn't fail. Yeah. And with stuff that had happened because, you're working, you're studying and all that. And it was just, getting money wasn't, I was struggling to pay rent and all that. And I was just knew that I've just got to finish and get work. And this was it. And then that just went. And that's when I realized I'd actually been depressed for quite a while. I think it was about 2 months I went through it. And so I decided, I was like, all right, so I've got to seek help now. So I did go and I went through student in uni. There was one of the psychologists there. So I went through there and had a chat to them and talked to them. And that's when, I found out that I was going through depression. Because, see, this, coming from Africa, depression is not something we talk about. it's not a disease. Well, that's a belief. It's not a disease. Like depression, you're going through hard stuff and toughen up and life goes on. But then when you actually realize that depression is a problem, and for a lot of men out there, it's not something we talk about a lot. Like, can you imagine sitting down? You're like, hey, bro, I'm going. It's not. It's a very difficult.
Yeah, it's a difficult thing to bring up.
And exactly. So I did go.
Yeah, there's definitely times it comes up, but they're very few and far between.
Yeah,
it's very
hard to open up and actually agree that you're in trouble.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, it's not something. Yeah. So anyway, I did go through that, and I sought help for the first time. Through the help, they actually helped me, so I did defer that semester. So I did go to school, and with every report I had, and sought help, and I was able to enroll for another semester, and I did go see a psychologist, and took me through it, and it took a while. Well, lucky I didn't go into meds and stuff, so I tried finding coping mechanisms as well, and and one of the things, as I told you earlier on, I realized during that time or during that period is when you have nothing to lose, you have to be at that level to understand when you have nothing to lose. I think that turning point, you have a lot to gain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like once you realize, it's just like once you hit rock bottom, the only way you can go is up. But you got to seek help. Yeah. I think that's one of the things I encourage people is you have to seek help. If you're going through it, you have to. And I said I didn't realize I was going through it, but yeah. I don't know. Have you been through?
Yeah. I've definitely had dark periods. Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah,
all the time. Comes and goes.
Comes and goes,
man. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it gets harder as well. Like when you have a lot of people around you, people that care about you, and it's easier to be alone than to have people. Having a community is hard.
Yeah.
Having people around is hard. I think they're more. I don't say it's more trouble than it's worth, but it's like it's good. It's good. Like you have people accountable to, but life is much easier when you're by yourself. I think when you're at the bottom, that's what you see. So
yeah. It's also it's one of those things too. When you hit that headspace, you don't want to be around people either. Like you want to be away, and then the dark thoughts coming, and maybe it'd be just easier if I wasn't here. You mentioned earlier being a burden. You don't want to be a burden on other people, which is it's sort of twofold. Like you find or feel that you're a burden on other people, so you want to check out to make their life easier. But then at the same time, like you need to talk to someone, but you also don't want to be a burden to someone and unload your shit on them.
Your problem to them.
Yeah, I think we look as traditionally in society, men are very much the protectors, the providers. We're going out there, the world's on our shoulders. We're our girl or guy's Superman. We're invincible. We're bulletproof. Whatever
you're going through.
Yeah. So then when it comes to that, we also know that same expectation is on you.
That's true. 100%.
And it's on your other friends.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting there and you're feeling dark, you don't want to go and lump more shit on your mate,
what they've got,
who's already got that stuff going on.
That's very true. There was a time I was thinking about having making up a men's group or something like that. There was a book I was reading where these guys they started a men's group. There were 5 of them, and they met up every month. They would go, they'd go do something social, and and even helping each other, business and all that. And they were friends for nearly 32 years. And the person writing, by the time they're writing the book, there was only 2 of them left. And over the years they died. And one of the things he talked about is don't be afraid to seek support. But also when you're seeking support, know who you're seeking support from. See, the problem is we seek support. When you're seeking support is, as you say, you might seek support from friends, but they've got their own problems. So are you being fair to them for seeking support from them? Is it helping you? Or you're becoming a burden to them? I think that's what men go through. It's hard to find out who is stable enough, because you do need friends, but who is stable enough to able to take up that mantle where they're helping you. But I think the way I look at it is, with the friends that I have, is when we sit down, I'll try to build them so that in turn they can build me. You know what I mean? I will take your problems on board so that you can take mine, because at no time will you have your problems, or rarely will you have your problems at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I might be going through the best time of my life and you're not. At that time, I'm your yoke, you know?
Yeah.
But then for us to maintain a good friendship is, I'm gonna have that expectation in turn that when you're doing well and I'm not, you're there for me. And I think that's where the disparity comes in, where people forget that, because when you're seeking help, you're not seeing the other side. You're not seeing that the other person might need help. Because what I've noticed over the year is, when you're seeking help and someone helps you, when they need help, I tell you, if you look at the statistics, 70% of the time you look the other way.
Yeah.
Because you're like, nah, it's too much. It's too much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you forget there's no quantifying that your problems were this much and my problems are this much. They're still problems. What you're going through and I'm going through, we might go through the same things, but yours hits home differently than mine. You know what I mean? So there's nothing small, there's nothing big. They're all problems. But if you start saying, oh, Jakey asked me for $100, I gave him $100. $100 might have been important. It might not have been important to me. But then when I ask you for that $100, you don't know what that $100 will do. You know what I mean? So the problems are kind of different when you're going through them. We might go through thoughts the same way, but the way we react to them is different. So I sort of think that's what I've started with my friends. Like, we'll sit down and we'll talk and we'll try, and it's not always the bad times, also the good times. I think, building that form of friendship amongst men.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't. I think a lot of men these days, we've lost that way. We don't know where to find what kind of friends we want around us. So I think having male friends is important.
I think it's very important.
It's very important.
I think we're very tribalistic as a species, like as humans. I think we're very tribal, and I think as men, we need that. We need that time where it's just the guys. There's no girlfriends. There's no families around. It's great. You've got a wife and a couple of kids. It's great getting together with other families and having a barbecue or whatever. That's awesome. But it's not the same as spending that time with just the boys.
It's not.
Even if you're in a group of guys and one of them brings a girlfriend around, that dynamic changes.
100%.
It changes immediately. And it's not necessarily a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing, but
exactly. But it definitely changes things.
I don't think people don't understand that. I think a lot of people don't understand.
Well, women don't, because it's they're different. They're different to us.
Yeah, that's true.
And I wonder if it's the same for them though. Like, if they're having a bunch of girl time, and then one of the girls brings the boy around, whether they have that same. I would imagine that they would have a similar sort of like the dynamics changed. We could be talking about something serious, and someone's actually opening up a bit, and then Steve comes around and he brings Janelle. And you're like, well, okay, well, yeah, I'm not going to talk about it now. Like, you've just, it's like, you
just changed it.
Yeah, I think about it like when you are, like, think of you're out at a bar with friends or whatever, and everyone's in their little cliques, and you're having a D&M with one of the boys. Maybe he is actually starting to open up, and then someone else comes over, and they don't read the room, and they're there, and it's like, can you fuck off? Like, we're having a conversation. It's that same sort of thing where
I think a lot of people have lost the gift of reading rooms.
Oh, yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, it's phones.
Yeah,
it's phones and texting. It is. Well, everything we do now.
Social cues, people don't have that anymore, man.
Yeah, which is the same for, like, you look at the kids that have grown up over the last few years through COVID, wearing masks. Like, they're missing facial cues and shit now. They reckon there's going to be a whole generation of kids who are going to struggle with that because they're not used to picking that up at their formative years of learning how human beings interact.
Human communication, interaction.
Yeah.
We've lost that. That's I agree that. That's very true. Because now I've got a few friends who are going through problems with their children at the moment, is the anxiety bit.
Yeah.
Heaps of kids are coming up with anxiety. anxiety.
Yeah.
It's becoming now a disease. I'm anxious.
Yeah.
I tell a joke. I think
Yeah.
I tell a joke. Story time. I can imagine back home. You're going to one of your granddads. They're like, "Hey, I'm anxious." They would they would they would whoop that anxiety off you
straight out of you.
What's anxiety? They're like, "What anxious? Pig!" or cry time. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know if embracing anxiety. I think embracing anxiety as a feeling and understanding to control it is important than medicating it.
Yeah.
Which is now has become a big problem because a lot of people are going into medication for anxiety. Is that causing more harm than good? Because a lot of people are going through anxiety at the moment.
Yeah. I think I wonder when it comes to that kind of stuff. Yeah. Whether there's just like a lot more softer people who like the second they feel anything are like, oh my God, the world's dying. Or, but hand in hand with that, we're also in an age where there is like, I keep bringing it up, but social media and phones and everything. There's so much coming at these kids these days constantly.
Yeah.
There's so much to think about. There's new looks and there's all this extra social pressure that we probably didn't have. Well, definitely not you when you were in Africa as much. True. And I probably didn't, in the 90s.
Hold up.
Yeah.
I did have a phone in Africa, right?
Did you?
There was internet. Just had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Right? The TV wasn't black and white, all right? I couldn't read subtitles, but it's good.
But you know what I mean? Like like you said, it's a bit of a simpler place to grow up than it is here. So you probably didn't have, like I didn't have that level of what we have and kids have got to go through today. Yeah. But then you've also got all this processed food and kids are spending all their time on their Xbox inside and watching YouTube and not going out. So all these things that we would have done as kids, eating healthier food, less preservatives, all that helps with regulating your hormones and all your emotions and chemicals. You're outside expending energy with other kids, running around, fucking around, having fun.
Yeah.
Getting rid of that energy, that's a way to burn off anxiety right there. Being outside, you're getting more vitamin D, which is a good thing. Like that's a hormone.
Yeah.
All of those things, they're doing less of as well. So I think it's just like an all-encompassing sort of situation where there's so many different facets that we could tackle before we get to needing. Medicating. Yeah, because I definitely think there are people who have a chemical imbalance and, it's like depression and everything else.
Yeah, that's true.
There's definitely people who are like, the only way forward for you, my friend, is going to be medication. But I think that's a small sliver of it. I don't think that's everyone, but it's becoming a society where you rock up to the doctor and instead of going, hey, okay, well, what's your diet like? Are you exercising? Like, what are you doing? Looking at all these other external factors, they're just like, oh, well, fucking, here's some pills, mate, that'll fix
Easier to do it,
Yeah, it's quick and easy. It's the Band-Aid fix for everything rather than maybe looking at the root of the problem.
I think intervention has gone, like intervening while it's small before it becomes a big problem. Yeah. That has gone. And I think the other thing is also, as parents, we're too busy,
Yeah.
Life has become so busy that that balance is also I think it's very hard at the I mean, because you can imagine two parents working Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
You only have Saturday, Sunday, but then Saturday, Sunday you still have sports. You have all these things you have to incorporate. You got cleaning. You have all this. So it's sort of like you miss that, and you find these kids are going out there, and what they're learning is from other kids who are going from So I see where you're coming from.
It's a complex world.
So I think I'll go back and say the world is hard.
The world is hard, man. Life is rough. Life is rough.
Do you think in a form way of thinking is it's like a cycle? Because there is it might not be the same thing, but the problems we are facing now, maybe our parents face some kind of problems that were hard at their time. Like fashion. Yeah. Have you noticed now, like the 90s is coming back? People are wearing, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
retro.
Retro is coming back now. You know what I mean? It's becoming in fashion. So do you reckon like behavior and all these things that we're going through is like a cycle? Like, I'm sorry. I know I'm going to say something. It's very controversial.
No, go for it.
Like now, not knowing that men are men and women are women. Like, you think that's like something that's going to go full circle where we'll start realizing like, oh, you know what?
Well, well, they do say that most of the major civilizations and like empires right before their demise became obsessed with gender. and they're swapping agendas. Yeah, it was like the Roman Empire, the Greeks. There was a bunch of them. I'm no historian, and I'm not going to try and claim that I know them all. But yeah, it's like I said, if you look back over the history books, right around the time where they kind of hit their peak of power and then took a steep nosedive, that became like all the rage. It's what everyone was freaking out about.
Interesting.
So potentially, but I think there's always going to be things that, you know, like going through your teenage years and puberty and your hormones and everything else.
Yeah.
Your body dysmorphia. Everyone has that. Like we all go through that as our teen years. You know, we don't like everything's changing and it feels weird and you're not really sure what it's like. And I don't know. I don't like that I'm, you know, not like that girl I've seen on Instagram or whatever. I feel like all of our parents and grandparents went through those same phases, but they didn't have the level of,
the magnitude was different.
Yeah, this sort of social media perpetuating this absolute perfect ideal of what it is, this highlight reel. They didn't have that so readily available to compare themselves with, which just exacerbates it. You know, they'd be looking at just the prettier girl in school and be like, oh, she's the prettiest girl. Like, I wish I was like her. Like it's within your community is where the standards are coming from. You're not really seeing the same, you know, I suppose our parents probably would, having like TV and everything come through sort of in their era was the start of it. But I think, those problems are probably age old.
You know, it's funny you say that about social media. And I've seen this guy that, you've seen the way AI is generating. Have you seen, I actually saw a lady or a girl, or, you know, that has been generated by AI. Perfect woman.
What do you mean?
Like, well, our sense of what society thinks is perfect woman, you know?
Oh,
but
like
they're all AI generated, you know what I mean?
Like physical
like
features.
Physical features and everything, you know?
Yeah.
And they're talking and all that. So there's a lot of stuff that's going in media at the moment that, you know, social media and internet and all that, that's, you know, that's all AI generated and stuff that people do not actually know. You know what I mean?
It's getting real good.
It's getting,
scarily good.
It's scary. Because there was one where, talk about Obama, like he did a speech when he was president. And there's one that has been AI generated now, and the speech is different.
Yeah.
And this guy, so what he did was he was just trying to show what the harm of AI is coming and starting to do now in society. And so he did a speech of an intro, but it was Obama doing the intro, and it looked so real. So he did that as a presentation to students, and Obama did the introduction for him, and even the mouth, everything. Like it just looked, you know, facial features, expression, everything just looked like he did it. Yeah. And then he walked in and said, that's what AI is doing now.
Yeah.
You know? And a lot of kids are going through that, where all this thing that's generated in social media and all this is not real. Like it's not, you know what I mean? It's crazy, man. I don't know. Because even this stuff with AI, I don't think, do you think artificial intelligence, right? Do you think it's actually intelligent?
Not yet. I don't believe it's hit that level yet. I'm not a super tech guru, and I don't know enough to comment too heavily on it. But I don't believe that there's a term, AGI, I think it is, artificial general intelligence. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're close, but I don't think we're quite there. And I think that's the point, from what I've heard, is sort of that's where it becomes to almost take on a mind of its own, and it becomes borderline of what we're going to call sentient.
Yeah, but how can it take a mind of its own? Because look up, an example of every stuff that's AI generated is stuff that has been, so the web is something that, you know, you fed all this stuff. So if it has to say like Chat GPT, what it does, it will do like an essay for you.
Yes.
But it never does an authentic essay. It will pick out stuff from the web and put it together.
Yeah.
So that's not intelligence, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right.
You know what I mean? So artificial intelligence will never be intelligent. It will just get to a point where it's just fast way of accessing the web and putting things together.
Yeah. Yes. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Just a thought. Anyway.
Yeah, but it's also, if it's getting that quick, it's able to think and gather information infinitely faster than all of us. Well, call it thinking. Yeah. It's not original thought, but if it's got a program and then it starts
fishing up and stuff.
Yeah. It's kind of cool, but it's also like
scary.
Oh, the Terminators are coming. The Terminators are coming.
I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, these people creating this stuff, they don't watch movies. They don't watch movies. 100%. Yeah. No one watches movies anymore. Yeah. Like the Terminator, that's exactly what happened. are we doing that? The other one was funny. Like, we are going out of space trying to look for life around the
Yeah.
space. Have you watched the movie Life?
No.
They went there and they found like this organism, and
Mm.
they took it to the ship, and it came alive because it needed oxygen.
So brought it to Earth where all the oxygen is.
That's and exactly, and then it would get into human beings and suck the oxygen from inside, and that's how it would transport it.
Yeah.
And then the spaceship came back to Earth because everyone died there. And then at the end of the movie, the organism is on Earth.
Yeah, of course it is.
No one's ever watched that. Can you imagine if we actually found aliens out there and they are actually hostile?
Yeah, that's the worst part. We're just but we're always assuming that they are. What if they're not? What if they're super nice? We don't know, Fred. Why are you being racist against aliens?
I'm not being racist, but I tell you what, it'll be funny when they get here and you find like the dodo birds.
Yeah.
Well, that was the alien pet, and we've killed all of them.
And
then they'll be pissed. They're like, "Yep, we're going back. Kill all of them. Destroy them. They kill all the dodo birds."
Oh, let's just hope that doesn't happen. Let's just hope that doesn't happen.
Anyway, just stuff I think about. Like, we need to watch more movies. We start watching movies.
Well, most movies come from decent books, and you've brought me a copy of yours, Echoes of the Heart, by Fred Ogoti. Walk me through this. How did you get started? Like, what was the concept in your brain that was like, I need to write a book? How did that come about?
I'm just gonna be honest with you. There was no thought to it.
No?
No. I just started writing one page.
Yeah.
So I met this guy when I lived in Townsville. We worked in a boarding school up there, and this guy we're just having banter, just having a chat, and he was telling me about his story, his life story, and we just made a joke. He said, I think I'd write a book. I said, that would actually be a good idea, just write a book, because his story was more interesting than mine. And then when he wrote his book, I was reading through it, and it was kind of inspirational. It wasn't a very big book, it was just a tiny book, but when I went to see him and we're having a chat, and he said, you know what, everyone has a story. Their story just hasn't been told. And just got me thinking. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he said, everyone goes through stuff in life, but the world would be better if we actually shared our experiences. Because stories are just experiences put in a thing, in a book or in pages, and then you just read. And when I told him my story, part of the story is one of the biggest thing in my book is growing up, I didn't have brothers and sisters. Like, I grew up as an orphan, but I had a family that took me in, and I had brothers and sisters there, but blood brothers and sisters I didn't have. When I finished high school, I found I had a real dad who just appeared then. So I knew he was alive, but just complicated, never showed up. And then when I finished high school, he appeared. And we had a chat, and then he disappeared from my life because I just didn't have no love for him. I just felt nothing. It was just, so. But before I got married, someone contacted me on Facebook, and they just sent me a message like, are you so-and-so son? And they used my dad's name. I'm like, oh. I just thought, in my head, oh, maybe it's just one of my dad's sisters, or, something's happened to him and they're looking for me. As I said, in Kenyan tradition, son is big, so maybe they're looking for me to go and bury him or something. It was just something just in the lines of that. So I said, all right, yeah, it's me. And then she sent me a number. Said, do you have WhatsApp? WhatsApp is like, WhatsApp.
We know what WhatsApp is. Most people know what WhatsApp is.
We use WhatsApp in Africa, so I didn't know. Maybe you don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I put the number, and she rings me. At the moment the picture comes on, someone looks exactly like me. Like my sister, my big sister, we are so alike. And I was so confused. So I just hung up. This is random. Like, it is in the middle of the night, 2 a.m. in the morning. So random. So I was just confused. So I didn't think about it anymore. I think 2 days went by, and then I got curious. I was like, let me just, it's just something. So I rang up, and we started talking, and I found out that my dad had a partner before my mom, and she was a product of it. And then they left. My dad got married. My mom left, and then he had another partner. But she never knew dad because she was very young. Now she was looking for dad. She's in America, and she was looking for dad. And through trying to look for dad, our real dad, she somehow through Facebook, someone told her she has a brother who's in Australia. So she went through all the names in Facebook, Fred Ogoti, all the Fred Ogotis in Facebook, and sent them a message.
How many?
Trust me, there's a lot.
I didn't think that'd be a common name, but there you go.
You and me both.
Yeah.
And there's strange people out there. There was one who actually said he played soccer with my dad, and it always like, it's consider it's American, so I think they looking for green visa or something.
Yeah.
So at the end, it just so happened like before I got married is when I actually changed my name to Ogoti. I didn't have Ogoti as my last name.
What was it before that?
I just used like a random Facebook name.
Oh, okay.
So that was the last one that come up because I just changed my name, and then boom, there we go. We end up talking for nearly 7 hours. We are so alike.
Yeah.
We have the same humor. We hate the same things.
Yeah.
And she ended up being one of the bridesmaids in my wedding.
Jeez.
Do you believe in fate? Like sometimes fate is written.
Yeah.
I suppose, or destiny. Like I think when your destiny or your fate, or I don't know what to call it, is written, you have to go through it. And I think at a time in your life, somehow there is like a premonition,
premonition.
What?
Premonition.
Premonition.
Yeah.
English, man. Right.
Yeah. Premonition.
Anyway,
like
premonition.
As in like seeing.
Yeah. You're seeing your future, like a glimpse of it. So you do have that, even if you don't know what it is. A good example is for me, I think growing up, I always had a feeling that I wanted to go to America. I didn't know I was coming to Australia, but I always wanted to go to America. And going to America, the only place I knew in America was Atlanta. I don't know why. Don't ask me how or why, but that's where I wanted to go. It ends up my sister is in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah.
I know this is like, it's coincidence and stuff, but what are the chances?
Do you know the only place in America I've been is Atlanta, Georgia? I shit you not.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
She's in Atlanta, Georgia. It gets even more interesting. The person who helped me come here, I call my grandma, but she's not, but who helped me come to Australia, her sister lives in Atlanta, Georgia.
True.
Swear to God.
Yeah.
So when we went to Atlanta, Georgia, it just so ends up, I started talking to, like we're in America, we're in Atlanta. I know you're in Atlanta. Can we meet up, or I don't know how far it is. And she was just 10 minutes down the road.
What? Like we're here in Australia?
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta. She's 10 minutes down the road from
my sister, the person who helped me come here.
Yeah.
Her sister was just 10 minutes down the road. What are the odds of that?
They astronomical.
Astronomical, exactly. Yeah. All right. It gets more interesting. So we went there. My sister got pregnant.
Yeah.
She ends up having a son. Right?
Fred Ogoti?
No.
Oh,
I tried.
That would have been so good.
Man, I tried. I pushed for it. Nah. Anyway, she had a son. But her son was born on the 9th of November. My wife's birthday is 9th November.
That's crazy.
So when we went there, we became godparents to Brian, born on 9th of November. So they share birthday with Grace, my wife.
Yeah.
But what are the chances of that?
It can't be much.
So there's just stuff in life where like things go by and you wonder, and another interesting one. One of my ex-girlfriends from Kenya, she came to Australia. She was in Perth, where she lived in Perth. The house she lived in Perth, my cousin that I lived with in Brisbane, in Algester in Brisbane, she got a job in Perth, so she moved there. When she moved there, the house that she went to live in and the room that she was in, I kid you not, I swear to God. So when she got there, we're talking and I'm like, that room looks familiar. Man. So when I went to visit her, I'm like, I've
been here. I've been all over this room. Don't lie to me, Frederick.
Like I'm in this room, I know this room, all right?
I hope you pressure wash that carpet, cousin, because I've been all over this room.
I think you fell down on your baby, man.
I did actually.
You
I did. Yeah,
did.
yeah. I went
So,
down some stairs.
Yeah, no, that's part of the stuff that's in there,
Yeah.
and my stories of my experience coming to Australia, what's happened, something that's close to me as well. We we've had 5 kids, but unfortunate with 3. We've got 2 kids, and that's part of the stories there. My wife's written a chapter there of what she went through, what I went through. You don't know what, I think, until you lose a child, it's not something you can explain to someone. Because one of the things, I'm going to say one of the things, I keep saying that a lot. But one thing I found out is when you meet someone, before I actually experienced it, is when I met someone who went through a hard time, especially like loss, and I found myself saying, I understand what you're going through. But when I went through it, I'm just speaking for me, not my wife. She had a different experience. I hated when someone told me, I know what you're going through, because you have no idea what I'm going through. And it's okay. I think it's okay not knowing what I've been through. But when someone, every time you met someone and they said that, it made me angry. I would feel angry. I'm like, why would you say that? Like, you don't know. And those are the things where, like, in part of the book, learning to embrace life as it is, and just understanding the different aspects of what people are going through. And it's just sharing a story. It has no intention to it. I just wrote the book so that whoever reads it, whatever you pick out of it is all right. I've had not the best life. I've had the best life. I think I'm living my best life. I have a beautiful family. I'm happy, I've let so much pain that I had over the years just, I found a way to forgive, but I don't forget. When you go through trauma, you go all those things. You say you can never forgive and forget. You gotta choose one. So I think learning to let my past be in the past and embracing the future, which is one of the tattoos I have, is forget the past, embrace the future, and what you become. And I think that's what I always say is, once you hit rock bottom, then you understand the only way to go is up. But forgiveness doesn't necessarily mean forgetting. And there's also forgiving yourself, because your past experiences, you have to embrace who you were before to embrace who you are to be. Because if you didn't live that life, you wouldn't be here. If you didn't go to the army, you wouldn't be Jakey. Say you took a different path, you wouldn't be here, and you wouldn't have the experiences you have now. You wouldn't be as complete as you are. So even through your failure, is just understanding that I failed, yes, but through that failure has brought me this far. So it is important for you to fail. Because if someone asks me right now, would you do anything different if I went back? I've come to realize, no. I wouldn't want to have it any other way, because then I wouldn't be me. I would be a completely different person. Maybe I'd be useless. You know what I mean? So I think your experiences shape who you are, but it's important to embrace them. And people don't see that. You sort of see, I went through this, and nah. I think if you find a way to make peace with who you are, it creates it opens up a path for you to be the best version of who you can be.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah. That's very insightful.
I don't know.
Yeah, you make a really good point about forgiveness and forgetting. Yeah, you don't want to forget it, because you also want to be wary. If it was something where you were proper wronged, you want to be wary of that for the future, so you don't get done over again. Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you can't forgive. You just, oh, good, we're sweet. I still remember what you did, man.
Yeah. And I'll kill you in your sleep.
Yeah. No. I'll send my African canoe with spears, man. You used to watch me. You keep
Oh, dude.
You say that joke, but I'm like, it'll be funny, we have a lot of black people.
Yeah.
This was a joke for America, you have a lot of black people in America who don't know where they've been from, I was like, it'd be so funny that, one day, like, the warriors in Africa just come together and it's like, we're just going to pedal and save our people, Just go there,
Yeah.
all ripped in the canoes with spears. Like, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing if something like that happened.
Dude. I want to go to Africa. That'd be cool. I think it'd be cool.
Yeah, it's a nice place. It's awesome.
Yeah. I've heard it looks like the savannah and all the wildlife there. I've heard it's just breathtaking.
Depends what part you see.
Where should I not go?
Depends on what you want. All right, let's think of it like this: the experience you want to have will entail where you want to go. If you go as a tourist, they'll only show you the good parts. Not saying that there's bad parts, like everyone's going now. No, like, but there's true authentic places. Like one of the largest slums is in Kenya, Kibera. You go there and you see how people live, and you're like, how do people live like this?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But what you find there, in this is the same thing, like I noticed when we went to the Philippines. Through poverty, you find one of the happiest people, or one of the happiest peoples that live through poverty. You find people with nothing, but the amount of happiness that they have in their heart is insane. You know, so you get to see that, and you get to see all those. You know, you see people living with having less than $1 a day. You know, so
laugh or cry.
Laugh or cry.
It's the only way through.
Just keep laughing.
Yeah, I remember we went as a family. I was like 17. I would just finished high school. We went over to Vanuatu and did like a mission trip, sort of like a humanitarian aid thing, delivering Christmas presents to the kids out there. Like it was all the Christmas presents were like stuff that people had just donated and thrown in or whatever, and they're all wrapped up in boxes. But it was like giving a shoebox that's like wrapped in paper to this little kid who's got nothing. They're opening it up and there's like a tea towel in there, and they're fucking wrapped, mate. And I was sitting there like, oh, dude, that was a tea towel. That sucks.
It's a tea towel.
Yeah, but they're like over the moon, man. Yeah. With so little.
Yeah.
Just absolutely rocked their world. It was like the greatest thing ever.
It's most
yeah.
I was talking about Christmas. Christmas is when we'd wear mom would go and buy new shoes and expensive but new clothes, and then you wait for Christmas, and that's when you wore them. And then like your normal shoes, the line in the middle there. Yeah. You start walking your legs so that they remain flat, so you don't have that line. So
the crease.
The crease, you don't have the crease.
Yeah.
So you walk like you're gliding.
Oh, that's so good.
Oh, life was so good, man. And then Christmas is when we'd have, maybe grandma would say, that chicken we've been feeding the last 6-7 months.
Yeah.
Chicken time. Yes. Oof.
See, and then there's kids today that they name it and they're upset because you killed and eat it.
Oof.
Mate, it was always going to be food. What did you think we bought it for?
When my grandma was alive, I met a friend here, and no offense to white people. I'm just going to say, no offense to white people. But the way you treat your animals, it's crazy. So I have a friend who apparently took their dog to a nutritionist because it was fat.
Just feed it less. Walk it more.
I called my grandma. I said, the amount of money she spent on that dog, just give me 2 weeks and that dog.
Yeah.
I'll go. Yeah, they'll come back in shape. She's like, what? I said, yeah, they buy food. They actually, because back home, we still keep dogs. We keep animals, but it's not the way you guys do it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's weird because the whole Western culture, it's always just a matter of time before it catches up. Because now back home, people are keeping dogs in the house. That wasn't as that. It never used to be a thing. But now it's becoming very popular. The younger generations, keeping dogs as pets, and we never had that. So it was strange when I came here 10 years ago, and I called my grandma and say, yeah, there's people, people are waking up. You're losing sleep because you have to take the dog for a walk. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I've got nothing against dogs, but why would you wake up at 4 a.m. to take a dog for a walk? Like lose sleep because the dog has to go for a walk.
Yeah. Well, it needs exercise.
That's dedication, man.
It's got to be exercise. What do you mean? You don't want a fat dog. You don't want a fat dog, Fred. That fat dog, that reflects poorly on me.
Oh, man. You just put it in the backyard, let you run around, man.
If people don't have a backyard, they take these little yaps and they put them in the inner cities in a suburb.
Then you see
not a suburb, in a unit.
In a unit.
Yeah.
You see it's all dressed up, and it takes a lot of dedication, man. But you love your animals, and it's good. Yeah. It's good. But it's strange, but it's good.
Yeah. So what was it like then with pets and stuff in Africa?
So our dogs, we kept dogs. Dogs were for security.
Yeah.
So if you had like the German Shepherds, you keep them locked down. During the day, you feed them, they wouldn't see anyone, and then at night, you'd open them up.
Yeah.
And then they were for security, so anyone that came around that wasn't from the home,
Yeah.
was a stranger. So
Yeah.
that's how we kept them.
Interesting.
And then things like goats, goats and cows.
Yeah.
For food, man.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, those animals are 100% food.
I had a friend that came over, and I knew she's a hippie.
Yeah.
Likes goats.
Yep.
We make very good goat stew. Didn't tell her. She enjoyed them. It's like, this is amazing. Like, yes, it is. Yep. At the end, it's like, oh, what meat was that? It was goat meat.
Yeah.
Should have seen. She was so conflicted between happiness and sadness. Oh. One express. It was gold.
Yeah.
Oh, she still eats the goat curry up to now, but
yeah. Oh. Vegans. I'm all for people doing whatever they want to do. You want to be a vegan, go ahead, mate. Like, I'm not fussed. But the people who try and like convince you to become a vegan, I'm like, no, you are barking up the wrong tree, mate. It's never going to happen.
I tell all my vegan friends, I have sacrificed myself for the greater good. I am just going to eat meat.
Yeah.
Because if the animals eat veggies and you eat the veggies, there's no circle, circle of life. So you need a carnivore in between. So I'm just sacrificing myself for that. Yeah. I don't like doing it, I just have to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just pointed out, I was like, I had a friend, she blocked me. She doesn't talk to me anymore because she tried to convince me to be a vegan. She was like, you need to watch these documentaries. And I was like, I could watch them and eat a steak. I don't care. She's like, but you don't understand. I was like, no, you do not understand.
Yeah.
I was like, I was in the army. I deployed overseas and I was fully prepared and ready to pull the trigger and kill human beings when required. I do not give a fuck about the lives of cows. I don't care. I will eat that steak and I'll watch your documentary and not think twice.
I thought you were going to say kill humans and eat them.
No, I'm not accountable. I'm not accountable. But I was like,
it's just like boom.
I was like, I'm not trying to convince you to be accountable, mate. Like, you do you. Stop trying to preach at me to be a vegan.
I find that very strange. Like, you spend so much time and like, you get wild up because someone's eating meat.
Yeah.
I have got no problems when you're eating your avocados
exactly.
and all your, I'm actually allergic to broccoli.
Really?
Yeah.
What a win.
I know.
Yeah, that's great.
And the doctor that diagnosed me just died a few years back.
Did he eat broccoli?
Sorry?
Did he eat broccoli?
I reckon he did. And all the files that were there was a big flood and all the files were gone. So, oh no.
Fucking hell, Fred.
Oh man, like I reckon whoever discovered broccoli should be shot.
It's not that bad. I don't mind broccoli. I've had the occasional broccoli salad, pretty good. Delicious. With bacon.
You had cheese in there. I think that friend of yours must have been a big bad influence to you, man.
Nah, it was good. She's fine.
Broccoli salad.
Ex-friend. She doesn't talk to me anymore, so it is what it is.
Nah, I don't do broccoli, man. Anything about broccoli.
Yeah, fair. Well, I'll hit you with a last question.
Yeah.
We'll wrap this up and get you out of here. If you had a single piece of advice that you could give to someone younger, it could be about anything, doesn't have to be, life-changing advice, but just a piece of advice you give to someone on how to do better with life, get better, cope with struggles, anything. Just a piece of advice you wish someone had told you.
I think one is watch the friends you have. You have to categorize what friends you have. You have close friends, you have acquaintances, and then you have people you can call brothers and sisters. People you can call brothers and sisters are people who die for. Like, it's unspoken. Like, whatever happens, you know what to expect from them. It doesn't have to be good, doesn't have to be bad. You know where to place them. Close friends are people you just see on a regular, I'll see you on the road. They're like, hey, and you'll always have a good conversation with them. It's nothing constructive. And then you have acquaintances, are people like, socials. You have the bar, you always call them up for a drink and that's it. That's one of them, is because with that is you need close friends because they always have your best interests, even more than family. Because a good friend will tell you when you're doing wrong. They'll pull you up and like, hey, mate, I think where you're going is not right. And they wouldn't think twice about doing that. That's one. Two, learn to be happy. I think there's a lot of people carrying a lot of sadness, a lot of anger, a lot of, and that does project outside on how you carry yourself, on how you live your daily life. Three is what I told you. Learn to forgive doesn't necessarily mean you have to forget. Forgiveness can be in any form. Forgiving yourself, forgiving anyone around you. Doesn't mean you have to forget the experiences you've been through them. Experiences are things that shape you. Experience is a thing you have to go through. No experience is little and no experience is big. They all have their own things to what they can be in your life. And then lastly, learn to listen. A lot of people these days don't listen. Everyone's talking, no one's listening. When you listen, there's a book I read that says the smartest person in the room is not the one talking, is the one listening. And once you learn to listen, you learn to, how do I put it? It's like, you know how I like my soccer?
Mm-hmm.
So Tanzania FC.
Yeah, he's a big fan of the Ugandan soccer team. Number one fan.
Like one of the things they say is Spanish football, they say one of the things they teach in there is always reading. They're not the fastest, they're not the smartest, but brain-wise, they're always reading the game. So if you learn to listen, you're always reading the room around you. You know what to speak, when to speak, how to speak. That's something people have lost. When you're always talking, you don't have that. Because when you're always talking and not listening, there's a lot of positive information. There's good information out there that you're missing because you always think you're smarter than the next person. The person always talking too much is the dumbest. Because pretty much talking about nothing. So that's the only advice I'd give people. If you learn those three things, then just learn to be happy. You're the only one who can give yourself happiness. No one else. Never expect happiness from someone else. Because if they take that away, then you're just miserable. You need to learn how to make yourself happy without everyone else. And once you learn that, all the happiness everyone else brings only supplements your happiness.
Yeah, that's great advice. That's fantastic, dude.
That's dad advice.
Yeah, that's... Well, dude, tell us where people can find the book. Put it up again. Looks like that. That's Fred riding a bike.
That was a Philippines bike.
Yeah.
I don't know if the safety on that, I think, is
zero safety. There's zero safety. You haven't even got a helmet on.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Self-published. So if you look it up on Amazon, if you want, you can always hit me up on Facebook, Fred Ogoti. I've got a few copies.
Yeah.
Can sign them for you when I'm famous.
Echoes of the Heart.
Yeah, I know. Just read the first page.
Oh, the first page. Wait, my past, my present, my future?
No.
What was, what is, what will be?
No. Bottom. Is there?
Buy this book because I owe people money.
I think that's important to
that's
put out
great.
there. So.
That's great. So it's on so it's not in bookstores, it's just on Amazon?
Nah, it's just on Amazon, self-published.
Cool. Are you on Instagram?
I'm on Instagram,
Yeah. What's your Instagram? People want to find you and follow you and talk to you.
Look for it, man.
Oh, here he goes. He didn't come prepared with his Instagram. What a rookie. Who is this guy?
I'm old school. My Insta is Buff Guy.
Buff Guy on Instagram.
BUFGY. Or just look me up. Yeah, Buff Guy. Look me up.
There we go.
On the socials.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming in, sitting down. It's been a great conversation. I've had fun. Good to catch up.
Thank you. It's an honor, man. Thank you for having me. And
no worries.
Did have so much fun.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Catch you later, lids.
Thanks, bye.